I think greetings to those who are joining us from YouTube, from Facebook, from Twitter. Please, can you just drop a message to tell us where you're joining from? Good evening. So we have 12 people joining us. We are now 14. I think we can give 5 minutes for people to join in, and then we can begin. Is that okay? Hey guys, is that okay?
Yeah.
So there's somebody.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay. Hello, Mumbwa from Zambia. Hello, Chawanda from Malawi. Clemens from Malawi. Hello, guys. Good evening. Welcome. Oh, Frida from Cameroon. Hello. Hello, Doc. Yes, Angela from Malawi. Olusegun from Nigeria. Good evening, guys. Welcome. And also welcome to those who will be watching the recording later on. Okay, Abdul Razak from Nigeria, Samuel from Mozambique. You're welcome. So we are just trying to give 5 minutes left before we can start. So you're all welcome to this talk. Good evening, Buchi from Nigeria. So we are all here to give our experience on the Commonwealth scholarship application, which was launched a few days back. And the deadline is set for October 17th, as you all know. And the Commonwealth Scholarship is an opportunity to pursue a master's degree or study in the UK, in any university in the UK. So the Commonwealth Masters and PhD programs, you can pursue a master's or a PhD program using to the Commonwealth Scholarship. So you have two types. I think you already probably know. The Commonwealth Shared and the Commonwealth Master. So what we are going to talk about today is the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, and then we'll give some tips on the Commonwealth PhD Scholarship. You should note that there will be upcoming webinars for the PhD Scholarship, so we might just give hints here, but we have a webinar next Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Is that so, guys? For the PhD? Okay, perfect. So I think we are good. We have 46 people. Hello, Pascal. Hello, Adela. Hello, Isaac. So we're going to introduce ourselves. I think I'm going to give the floor to the speakers. We can start with Lillian.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lillian, PhD Commonwealth Scholar at the University of Manchester, studying medical mycology from Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. Chisom.
Hi everyone, my name is Chisom Sheremekun. I'm a PhD, Commonwealth Split Site PhD scholar. I'm currently a DAT scholar at University of München in Germany. Nice to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And Chief Buchi.
Yeah, thank you so much, Larissa. It's nice to be here. I'm a MSc, a Commonwealth Shared Scholar. I'm doing my MSc at the University of Leeds, currently rounding up my dissertation on in the field of transportation planning and engineering. And it's a pleasure to be here with everyone.
Thank you, Buchi. Thank you, Lillian. Thank you, Chisom. I'm Larissa Simo. I am a Commonwealth, the 2022 Commonwealth, 2022-2023 Commonwealth Master Scholar, and I'm currently rounding up my MSc in Epidemiology at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. So we are going to work together on these. We're going to go straight away to dive into the essays, and Just to highlight, sorry, that while we are doing that, I would like to call on the attention of everyone that you can start dropping your questions. Would have a few minutes for questions and answer session at the end, but we might not be able to answer all the questions. Again, there will be an upcoming webinar for question and answer session only, but just so that we already start answering some of the questions while the speakers are on, you can leave your questions in the chat, please. So we are going to go to so generally for the application process, I'm hoping, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to go through the form already. So you need to be able to be nominated by an agency, which is probably either the Ministry of Higher Education in your country, or an NGO. So you have NGOs such as the for African Women Educationals, the FAWE, which nominates women only. So you can check if there is a FAWE branch in your country. You can also check at the Ministry of Higher Education from your country if they nominate for the Commonwealth scholarship. So you need to go through a nominating body. So you need to apply to the nominating body and apply on the Commonwealth online application form. So if you have had the opportunity to go through the online application form, you see that you need to fill in a certain number of details, and you should also be able to read through their eligibility criteria. Now, usually you just need to be a resident of an African country or so. But yeah, all the eligibility criteria, you have everything on their website. Here, we mostly want to answer your questions for those who have had the opportunity to go through the form already. And we want to emphasize mostly on the ACEs because that's where people often have difficulties. So we are going to go straight to the first essay. Would have Bucci lead us on this, which is the development impact essay. And it reads, Commonwealth scholarships in the UK are funded by the UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. An important selection criterion is the potential contribution that you will make to an international development if you are awarded the scholarship. Provide a development impact statement in 4 parts. So the first part is for you to explain what are the development issues at global, national, and local levels, and also development issues that relate to your study that are connected to the chosen CSC theme and the wider sector. This should be 200 words. So, Bucci, please, can you lead us on this one?
Okay. Thank you, Larissa, for briefly introducing the concept of the Commonwealth Scholarship and the essays. So, I think the first thing I would like to say is that the first paragraph or the first statement in black is the key statement or the key that ties your whole application together. The Commonwealth Scholarship is a developmental scholarship. Now, I think the first misconception many people have about scholarships is that scholarships are for maybe poor people or people that can't afford their fees, or the people that get scholarships are the poorest of the poor and stuff like that. And it's all about charity. So some scholarships are like that, but I think this particular scholarship is not that way. And that's the first thing that you need to know. So you don't need a very good sub story in order to get a Commonwealth scholarship. This scholarship is geared towards development and impact in developing countries and in Commonwealth nations. So countries that are eligible for the scholarship are countries that belong to the Commonwealth, and they are basically trying to say, we want to give our scholarship to people that can aid development in these Commonwealth countries. UK is the head of the Commonwealth, and then this is their way of helping the Commonwealth countries to develop. So your aim while applying for this scholarship is to solve a developmental problem in your society, in your country. And your problem can either be a global problem that is impacting your country, or a national problem that is impacting just your country, or a problem that is not impacting the whole of the country, but it is at a local level. So maybe it is in your immediate community, in your region, or something like that. Now, education in the UK is supposed to be a tool for you to use to come into being part of the solution to this problem. Obviously, you can't be the full, you can't solve the whole problem, but you can be part of the solution. So the first essay is simply asking the question, what is the problem you are trying to solve? You've chosen a university, you've chosen, when you're filling the form, before you get to the point where you fill in the essays, you've already filled in your biodata, personal data, details of the course you want to study, details of the university you want to study, and all that, your nominating agency. Till then, you come to the last part of the application form, which is where the essays are. And at that point, they are not asking. You've said you're this person, you've said you've done all this, this is your background, this is what you studied in undergrad, this is the course you want to study for your MSc or for your PhD, this is the line you want to do. Then they're not asking what is the problem that your background and this course you want to study is going to solve in your country. So you have to kind of say, this is the problem. And the second part of it is, which Commonwealth is it related to? When you apply for the Commonwealth scholarship, it is usually under 6 themes. You can go to the website to find the 6 themes. I'm not going to list all of them, but every application is connected to one of the 6 teams, and the 6 teams are all developmental teams. One of the teams is the science and technology for development. So your course has to fall under one of the 6 teams, and you have to see which team you feel that your course falls under. If you apply for Commonwealth Shared, you are applying for a particular course that the Commonwealth has already chosen, and they've already put it under a particular team. So there you just need to mention that team. But if you're applying for Commonwealth Masters, it's up to you to say that I'm studying robotics. You are studying robotics because you want to develop robots that can do surgery. You are in the health sector. You are studying robotics because you want to generate robots that can do peacekeeping in war environments. Then you're talking about peacekeeping. And those are different themes of the CSE. So your course can be related to different things depending on the problem that you choose to relate to your essays. And then another important thing that I also need to state is the SDGs, because even during the application, they will ask you what are the 3 top SDGs that your course is related to. So you have SDG 1, SDG 2, and SDG 3. So out of the 17 SDGs, you have to choose number 1 SDG, number 2 SDG, and number 3 SDG that are related to what you're trying to do. So when you choose your course and you have your problem and you have your CSE team, you also have to pick 3 SDGs that relate closely. And people make the mistake of choosing SDGs just on the face value, end world hunger. Meanwhile, you're doing something that is not generally related to, or good health for all. You're doing something that's not really related to good health for all. So you need to be sure of the content of the SDG. So look at the SDG goals, the SDG are goals. You have to look at the targets under each SDG to see which one best aligns with what you're trying to do. And if you can mention the target, not just the SDG, while you are writing your essay, it helps a lot. So that's mostly what you do with these 200 words. You mostly have to string together your problem, and you don't say something is a problem because you feel it's a problem. You have to be, how do you put it? You have to reference a source. If it's a problem that 10 has stated is a problem, if it's a problem WHO has stated is a problem, if it's a problem that the Bureau of Statistics in your country has stated is a problem, but somebody has to say that this is a problem. You can't just wake up one day and say, all the children in my country are dying of hunger. Who told you that all the children are dying of hunger? So you need to be specific about where you're getting your statistics. If you have numbers, it always helps. 20% of these people are suffering from this problem. 30% of these people are suffering from that problem. So I think we can move to the next impact.
Okay. Thank you very much, Buchi. I don't know if anybody has anything else to add here. Like he's mentioned, figures are very important. So if you can quantify how much is your problem or how much is the problem you're trying to tackle, it makes a lot of sense. And also please try to make sure that you look for the keywords in each AC, because here they're talking about your issues at the global, national, and local level. So your AC should be able to give the issue at the global level, at the national level, and at the local level. They need to see all of these in your ACs, the CSC theme and the sustainable development goal, like he mentioned. Chisom and Lillian, do you have any?
Yeah, but just said it all. Like you said, just ensure that it's a problem and it has been stated to be a problem globally, locally or region wise. Just make sure that it's a problem and then be able to cite where it states that it's a problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So, yes, Lillian.
Yeah, just a little information. Um, already is one should also know that you should have kind of a track record of what you have been doing to show why you're interested in this and why you want to solve a particular problem. They just didn't just fall from the sky and want to come and start solving a particular problem. That will also help when you can link it back to what you have been doing before and what you want to do when you acquire this development or this new skills or knowledge or whatever you're seeking for from Commonwealth. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lillian. So the next part is how you intend. You should explain how you intend to apply your new skills and qualification when you return home. You may wish to reference innovation and application of knowledge at global, national, or local level, and to include intended methodologies and implementation strategies. Puchi.
Yeah, so I think in this part of the essay, it's more or less about you now articulating what what how you think the problem can be solved. Yeah, because you've stated that something's a problem, and you've stated the statistics of how it's a problem, and you've stated how it links to the SDGs, CSC team. So you've told everyone this is a problem. Now, if we send you to go and learn this course you want to learn, how are you going to tackle the problem? So you don't have to be very, very detailed at this level. That is why they gave you just 100 words, but they want to be sure that you have a roadmap because they want to give their scholarship to someone that has a plan. So you need to show that you have a plan of how you are going to apply this knowledge to do this skills. Are you going to organize webinars to do education to downplay a particular stigma against a particular group? Maybe that's the problem you are trying to solve. Or you're fighting for gender equality, or you're fighting for disabled people. How are you going to do it? Are you going to organize information sessions? Are you going to organize webinars just like this one to educate the public? Are you going to partner with existing NGOs? Do you already have an NGO you're working with? Things like that. So you need to talk about and you need to say how you are going to do things differently from what is already being done. So that's the basic thing here. You just need to bring together a plan of how you are going to apply the skills. You can, if you know the skill that you are going to learn on the course, or like you have an inkling of the kind of knowledge you're going to get from the course, you can say that using presentation skills you're going to learn on the course, you can do this or do that. Using do this or do this in the lab, you're going to research on this or research on that. Using the technical skills you're going to get in this and that, you're going to do this and do that. So it's basically just a plan, but it doesn't have to be step by step detail, but it has to show that you know what you can do and how it can make a change. Does anyone want to add anything to that?
That's good by me. I think you've said what is.
In addition, Buchi, the for the this development impact too, how do you intend to apply your new skills when you return home? What can help too is to do your research and know what is already being done in your home country. By the time you tell them, okay, this is what is being done, this is an organization that has been formed to tackle this problem, and maybe how you intend to work with them to bring in any skills you learn, maybe output from your research or whatever it is that you learned from that you intend to learn from your experience in the UK. It will make it better. Like when you state real, how would I put it, real bodies, maybe NGO, government bodies that is already tackling your problem, it will make it much easier and believable. That's all.
Yeah, just to add to what you just said, Chisom, actually, the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, I think in every African country, they have something they are doing there in terms of development. So you can always go to verify what is the UK doing in my country, and then check in your field of study, what have they done up to now, and what can I do to help them achieve their goals, because they have something they're always doing. So you can always read these things on their website. Try to personalize it to what your study is, what your problem is, what you're trying to tackle. So yeah. Didier, do you have anything else?
Yeah, just like you mentioned, that will be later part of of our session. But definitely, the aim of whatever we are doing here is to solve a problem. So if you're able to find your target and what that problem is, and just hit the point on how you want to do it. Like Buchi said already, just 100 words here. So you
Yeah.
don't have plenty things to say. Just hit the target of what you think you can do and how you want to do it in few words, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, you can expatiate later on.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Buchi, the next part of the development impact essay is what you expect will change in development terms following your studies. That you should include your outcomes, your time frame, and then the beneficiaries.
Okay, yeah. So I think this is one of the very critical parts of the four-part development essay, because it shows that you understand the way change and development occurs. You're not going to change the world all by yourself, and you're not going to change the world in a day. And you need to show that you realistically understand the role that you have to play in all this. So when it comes to this particular essay, they're asking you, what do you expect change will be? What are the outcomes? What will the timeframes be, and who are the beneficiaries? Looking at these three parts, they've already given you a guide of what they want to see in your essay. So basically, what you have to do now is come in and say you've already stated the problem in the first essay, because they read this essay. You've already stated the problem in the first essay, and in the second essay, you've said what you're going to do. Now, this is the problem. This is how I'm going to tackle it. What is your expected outcome? You are trying to solve a problem of water supply. 70% of rural communities in your country do not have clean water supply, and then you've come to say that you're going to start either partnering with engineering companies to help purify the water in the local community, set up something like that. You've said you're going to do that. What is the outcome? The outcome is not going to be everybody's going to get. The outcome could be, out of 70%, you're going to drop 70% to 65% in the next 4 years. And this is going to affect women, mostly women and children in the community, because they are the people that are most hit by this problem. So that's an outcome, that's a time frame, and that's the beneficiary. Then maybe in the next 5 years, you get 5%. In the next 20 years, that 5% will increase to 15% because you will expand your reach. So you
Exactly.
can give it in the short term, medium term, and long term kind of thing. But your outcomes have to be realistic, which is why you have to already research, just like Chisom said, what has been done or what they have been doing. And you can either come in to say you are going to join them, you're going to support them, or you're going to bring in something new. Now, if you say you're going to bring in something new, if you're going to join them, you're going to try to accelerate the process. If they've been recording progress of 2% decrease in that area, you cannot just come and say, you, in the next 5 years, you're going to get at 5% decrease. What kind of magic are you going to do? So you
Exactly.
need to be realistic, because development and change takes time.
Yeah.
So you need to say, these possible outcomes, this is the possible timeline, these are the possible beneficiaries. And the beneficiaries are important, because you can't be solving a problem that nobody is having.
Yeah.
And when you state your problem in the beginning, you're going to state that it's a problem at the national level, it's a problem at the regional level, it's a problem international. You may not be able to solve the problem internationally, but you may be able to solve the problem regionally with your activities in the first 1, 2, 3 years. Then maybe you can expand globally eventually. But the point is, you need to say that people in the rural communities, not northern Nigeria, for example, you can't say you're going to work on the whole of Nigeria at a go. It's not realistic. So you can say you will start in southeast Nigeria, you can start in northwest Nigeria, and then from there work your way out. So you need to be realistic. So if like I said, if you've been working with an NGO already, or you identify an FCDO project in your home country and you know the location, you can use that. You're partnering with them in their activities in this region. And then in hoping that in the next 10 to 15 years, you guys will expand to the whole country or to other regions of the country, and then the problem will reduce by so percentage. It's always good to try to use figures to estimate what you're saying, because it gives a realistic view to what you're
Yeah.
doing. To try to see that you know exactly the impacts you can make, and you know what is realistically possible. And it's good to be ambitious, but it's also good to be realistic at the same time.
Yeah.
So don't try to save the whole world at the same time. It's good that you can try. Most of the time when you're writing it, focus more on the short to medium term of what your impact will be. Because obviously the long term impact can be swayed by different things in the future. Some people say that they will do something and then maybe they will go for further training later. By the time you write all the essays together, you'll be telling one story. So at some point, you might decide that you might put in that you do this, and then get further training in this area, and then move into this area, and then further into that, stuff like that. Especially maybe if you're writing in the aspect that you want to join academia and then train people by teaching in your country. So you can have that in view. But the whole point is let your outcomes be real, realistic, measurable, and try to state them using time frames. Time frames always help to make sure that the message is passed across properly. So I don't know if anyone,
Yes,
the other
Gucci. I
one has
think, yeah, I think that just to add to your point, there is a mnemonic when you're talking about something you're going to do in the future. Like you mentioned, it should be specific. So you use the SMART approach. You should make sure that it is specific, it is measurable, it is achievable, it is realistic, and it is time bound. So each time, be it for this scholarship or any other scholarship, each time you want to talk about something you intend to do in the future, please try to make sure that it is SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Without which, and when we say specific, if you're working in the health sector, for example, and you want to reduce the burden of, say, TB in Cameroon, like you mentioned, numbers are very crucial in these essay writings. We should see, or they should be able to understand how your work is going to impact, like how much impact you're going to create. So you will not just say, so when I finish studying, I'm going to go back to my country and I'm going to bring down all infectious diseases in Cameroon, and then you end there. It doesn't make any sense. You need to be specific. What infectious disease are you fighting for? By how much are you going to bring it down? In what time frame are you going to bring it down? And who are those who are going to benefit from this? So that's what makes you stand out in your AC. Thank you very much, Richie, for that.
Yeah.
Lillian?
No, Bucci has hit the nail on the head,
Yeah.
and I'm only particular about being achievable within your time frame. You can't just be exaggerating your what you want to do, and you're not considering the time at which you want to with which you want to achieve all that you're exaggerating. You must make sure that whatever you're stating you can do is within a particular time frame that you can achieve that thing you want to do. I
Yeah.
think that Bucci has said it all.
Yeah, I really like the fact that he said that it's good to dream big, but at the same time, because in this essay writing, you are allowed to be the head of the CDC Africa, you are allowed to be the president of whatever country, but you need to make sure that when you are telling them that you want to be so and so thing, please, you should be able to tell them in what and how you will get there because there's a whole essay for that. So yeah,
There should be a roadmap to it.
sure. Chison, do you have anything to add?
Nothing much. You guys have explained it all. Like Buchi said, this is an important question and also the simplest because they've already given you tips on how to answer the question. So if you're writing anything, make sure that you address all the points.
Yeah.
If possible, let it be just separate it, then later you can merge it if you want it to be just a single paragraph, but just make sure that you clearly state the answer to each of the questions A, B, and C.
Yeah.
That's all.
So just before we go on, Emmanuel Chijoke, we are going to come to that. We are going to talk about nominating bodies and we are going to answer your questions. Please give us time to go through the ACs for now. And when you come back to this essay, there are two ways you could go about it. If you want, you can have a paragraph for each part. Part A, you have a paragraph where you talk about the outcomes, another one where you talk about the time frame, another one where you talk about the beneficiaries. You could actually even list your outcomes out because that is what I did. I had like 4 outcomes and I listed them out like 1, 2, 3. This is what I want to have. Or you can take one outcome, you talk about the outcome, the time frame, and beneficiary in one paragraph, and then you go to the rest. So you can organize your work like that. For the next essay, this is the last part of the development impact essay. Buchi.
Yeah, so the fourth part says how will the impact of your work be best measured and evidenced? Please include details of what indicators are used to measure this impact. You may wish to detail small and incremental changes as well as more significant goals. So this is just the last leg of what you've been saying all this while. Now you start off by saying that this problem is so big. WHO has said that 40% of these people have this problem. United Nations have said that so people have said this problem. Your national body has said that this problem exists in this place and this place and this place. And then you've said, when I go to school, I'm going to learn this and learn this so that I can be able to do this and do this and do that. And you've now said that when you're going to do this and this is what the outcome will look like, you're expecting 25% of this to decrease, you're expecting to tackle 5% of that. And now they're asking this 25%, this 5%, this 40% that you've been mentioning, how will you know that you've gotten 5% decrease? How can you keep track of this solution say they're going to implement? What is the indicator? And so when you write the 4 essays, I usually tell people, don't write one by one. Try to write thinking of the 4 parts together, because this is actually one essay that they've broken into 4 parts. Because if they had given you one very big prompt question and told you to write 1,000 words, some people will write a lot about the problem and nothing much about the solution. So they've broken it into 4 parts to tell you that 200 words should be about the problem, 100 words should be about what you do, 250 words should be about how you're going to implement and do, how the outcome is going to be like. We only need 100 words to talk about how you're going to measure this impact. So if it's someone that's doing policy, for example, I saw a Joge's comment telling us to give policy examples. So let me try to give a policy example. If you're trying to say that you're trying to reshape the corporate affairs policy in your country, for example, to make ease of doing business better, to aid economic growth, then they are not asking, how will you know that you've made it better? The first thing will be, in this case, will be that the bill has been moved, because you know how laws are created. So you've drafted a bill, you've spoken to your representative in the House, or if you say you want to now go and be a representative in the House, in the Parliament, that's also. So first point, if you want to, the first measure, the first indicator that the bill was moved, it passed first reading, second reading, so you can use that as a way to measure. So in the first 5 to 10 years, in the first 5 years, we would have been able to draft this bill, stating some of these issues, consulting with so people. You've consulted with 100 people. Now you've said you consulted 100 people. That's a measure. So number of indicators, 100 people. You've consulted with different bodies. You've brought them all together. You've now come up with a document in the first 5 years. In the next 5 years, you're working towards moving this bill towards the Parliament, letting them look at it, So you need to clearly state, if it's the issues of percentages as well, how do you know? Okay, you are going to publish at least, you're targeting publishing at least 10 research articles on this topic, looking into this area. You are an academic, you are going to train 70, 50, 20 postgraduate students on this topic. You are organizing a workshop that's going to reach 500, 1,000 participants. You have to be imaginative at the same time, be realistic. What are the indicators of this particular? Because when you stated the problem, you stated that it has these figures, and those figures were measured in a particular way. So whatever way those figures were measured is the same way you are going to measure your impact. Because you can't be saying that something was measured this way, but when you have your own impact, you're going to measure it another way. Because that clearly states that you don't know how the impact is measured. So if you're saying your impact is going to be for a community, then you should also know how the problem is measured in that community. You should have an idea of what it is. And then, as the prompt says, you can incremental changes or significant changes. So maybe you want to, because it's just 100 words actually. And the kind of problem that you're talking about is going to put you in the direction of whether this thing is best measured incrementally, or whether it's best measured at significant points. Like if we use the bill example, you're not going to start saying that you met the head of this, and then you met the head of this place, and then you met the head of that place, and then you just say you met 50, 60 or relevant stakeholders, and then you people came up with a document in 2 years' time. That is an indicator that the document is a significant goal, but that's the main indicator, because no one is really interested in who the stakeholders are. Or the person reading the essay may not even know how important one stakeholder that you name drop will be, but they know what it means that the bill has been moved in a house. So that's a significant goal. But in some other cases, it might be better to measure, because in places where you're having 1% or 2%, or getting 1% change is a very difficult thing, then you might want to mention incremental changes, small steps. That's the way you're going to measure. Because if you're trying to, let's assume you're trying to close the gender pay gap, you're not going to achieve much in a year or two. That's the truth. So, but you can mention the incremental, the small things that you're going to be doing at the lower level, and then how that's going to work. You understand? So you just have to be smart, like Larissa said. You have to be smart about the way you present your argument, because because you're trying to convince the reader. The person reading your essay is most likely British. They may not be able to relate to the problem that you're talking about. So you need to state the problem properly. State what you're going to do. They may be familiar with the area, or they may not be familiar, but the way you explain the things that you want to achieve in a very relatable manner is going to be very key in the way they're going to choose your essay, because you have to make it simple but direct at the same time. Hit the nail on the head, but also at the same time try to walk around a lot of. There are a lot of other essays. We just talked about the four developmental essays. There are a lot of other essays that give you room to talk about a lot of things. You talk about your career path and your career growth. So you don't need to jam all
Yeah.
that into the
Yeah.
developmental. You need to just focus on the problem and the solution and the prompts that they've given you. You talk about how you are going to study, the objectives you have during study. You're going to talk about, you're going to even have a personal statement. So your personal statement is usually, let me just briefly say this. Personal statement is usually where you say anything that you want to say that was not covered in all the other essays. Basically,
Yeah.
you talk about yourself, anything that you couldn't say in all the essays because maybe there was the word limit was just there restricting you. So you have all that space. You have the volunteer place to talk about things you've already been doing. So you don't need to drop a lot of examples of what you've been doing when you're talking about development. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think I've said a lot on this topic already. So I'll just stop here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bishi. I think you have said a lot, but you have said the important things actually. So I don't know if anybody else has something to add. Any of the speakers? Okay, so we're going to move to the next question. So basically, the development impact ACEs are like a tip of the iceberg. They want to get to know what you are working on and what you're looking forward to. You will have the opportunity to expatiate on most of these ACEs in the other ACEs ahead. That's why they're just 100 words, 150 words, very small for you to introduce what your topic is. And the whole application process is a storyline. So you're taking that problem and moving with it all through. You're not changing like up you want to fight against AIDS and down you're fighting against TB. No, you have to like when you choose your focus and tell them this is my purpose, this is what I want to fight for. You have to carry that storyline across all your ACs. So the next thing we'll be talking about is career plan. So the career plan essay actually has three parts, and they say that the selection panel will want to understand how your proposed study will assist you in your career. You should describe the skills that you expect to gain from the scholarship and your career plans once you return home afterwards. These are the key words: the skills and returning home afterwards. So I'll let Chisom take us on the objectives during their work.
Okay, hi everyone. So for the objectives during the award, so basically objective means your goal during the award. What do you intend, and what do you intend to do basically? So mine was a PhD application, so it was basically my objectives of my PhD research. So that's my main objective. So like Larissa and Buchi have said earlier, your objective or your goal has to be smart. It just has to be smart, because if it's not, it won't be whole. So, like you said, one is smart, it's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic or relevant, and then it is time bound. So it's 250 words. So you have like quarter of a page to write out all these things. Um So if it's for a research based, your goal or your objective should be your more like your research question, like what you intend to do during the research. For example, I'm working on the genetic determinants of type 2 diabetes. So if you asked me what for the question, what I wrote was my major objective was to learn the statistical methods, or to learn various ways by which I can determine the um, genetic determinants of type 2 diabetes in Africa. So that's first of all my goal. And then when explaining this goal, you have to state the reason why it is important. Because when you say, okay, this is what I want to do, I want to get the genetic determinants of type 2 diabetes in Africa, then I should tell them why it is important. This is important because when I learn this, I should be able to address this problem. And then the third part is to make sure you mention the expected outcome, like what you will gain when you have applied those methods, or when you have gained those skills that you intend to gain. So by the time you've done that into three parts, you've basically answered the question. Like I said, what you intend to do, your goal, and why do you want to do that thing, and then what do you want to gain after you have done that. So by the time you've answered this, you've covered the question of your objectives during the award. Because if they are funding you, if they are giving you money, they're actually giving you money to do your own research. And that's to answer the problem which you talked about, to address that particular problem. So your way of addressing that problem, that is what they are indirectly asking you here, what you'll be doing during your time in the UK. So that's the first part, talking about your research goals and your objectives. So the second part of this objectives during the award is to talk about other activities. They include attending conference. If there are special meetings organized within your region, for me, they have a conference specific for my field in the UK. So I mentioned that I will also attend this meeting in this particular year, and where, if possible, if your board will allow you, put where it will take place, the city where it will take place, and if possible dates, because these guys they plan ahead, so all this information would have been available. So just say you intend to attend this meeting, these conferences. If possible, put the keynote speakers or any other person or the instructors that will be around during those meetings. And not only that, you can also mention other outreaches being organized by your school. I help to go, I help to volunteer in this. You would have done your research, check your international group page, check the volunteer opportunities, and say you will want to join these people. Why do you want to join them? I will want to join them on this work, and maybe to enlighten people. And what do you want to gain from it? Remember, there are always three parts: what you want to do, why are you doing it, and what you want to gain from it. If you are going for a conference or a meeting, why are you going there? What do you want to gain from it? If you are volunteering or an outreach, why are you doing it? What do you want to gain from it? If you're attending conferences and all those things, you can also state that you are going to teach, because as a master student, some master students serve as teaching assistants. So they have the opportunity to teach other lower level students, or even PhD. They also serve as teaching assistant. They can assist other lower level colleagues. So you can also state that you are going to teach. So these are some of the options that you can explore when being asked your objective. And in addition, I also put that in my own application. I also put casual activities like sightseeing, visiting places. You can look for the city, the school you're applying to, and the city. You can look for one significant thing, or maybe one special place, maybe a tourist center people go to or people want to see. You can say you also want to visit those places, and you want to see what the place is like, and oh, just like be real, so that when someone reads it, they will know, okay, this person has thought in her ahead, this is what he or she wants to do there, and her goals are clear, the objectives are cool, so that when you get there, you don't have to, once they read that, they will know, okay, this one has a plan, and at least they can consider you to some extent. It maybe makes the person that will assess your essay to be a bit biased towards you. So don't forget all these points, answer them, and remember they have to be smart, like smart, 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 because by the time it's smart, it's already a wholesome answer that you are giving them. For example, another example for of being smart, like this informative session we are having now, our goal is to enlighten you guys, and you have to be specific. It's for Commonwealth scholarship, it's for masters, and then if you want to be specific, masters and PhD. So if you are applying for masters, if you want to be specific, the masters shared or ordinary masters. If it's PhD, is it ordinary PhD or a split site PhD? And then it has to be measurable, realistic, and then time bound. Remember, you have to try to put all these things. By the time you tell the story and you read it, you yourself, you know that you have actually made a point that anybody that reads it will believe you. And that would be a plus towards getting your scholarship. That's all from my end. If anyone has contribution.
Thank you very much, Chisom. I love the fact that you said that you can add in extracurricular activities. One thing that I hope that the audience will get is that the PhD application for the Commonwealth is slightly different from that for the master's application. So you actually need to have a whole project. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You actually need to have a whole project and proposal, research proposal to apply for the PhD scholarship. That's why when she mentioned objectives during the award, she actually mentioned the objectives of her research. Now, if you're applying for the master's and you don't have the whole proposal thing because you don't need it for the master's, what I did was that I spoke about the activities. I first of all spoke about the academic skills that I wish to gain. So I spoke about, went to the school website, did my research, on the course I want to take. What skills will this course give me? So my objective during the award was to be able to get the skills that the academic skills. That was the first thing I wrote. The second thing I went was the events at the university. What were the events? There are always events at the university, but you should be very strategic in the kind of events you're choosing. You're not just going to attend, like she mentioned, you have to state the why and the what. So I looked for networking events at the university, and I stated that these events will permit me to enlighten, to network, to broaden my network, and probably I'm going to use one of these networks in my future career plans. And then I might also get leadership skills. Please, please, please don't forget to mention that you will attend all Commonwealth events. Commonwealth has events. They have the sustainable, the leadership events. It's a plus. Just
The
look for it.
anytime.
Go to their website, read about their events, mention it in your ACs.
Yeah.
Tell them how you're going to attend. Is one of your objectives during the award. You're going to attend one of the events for the Commonwealth, and then you can join in social events. You also have things like music. Some schools actually have like a whole music platform where you can actually learn how to play music and stuff. It shows them that you have done your research. Tell them that there is this music place in my school that I want to learn how to play the piano, for example. That's one of the things that I did. So it shows that you have done your research, you know what you want, and you're going for it. It's different from somebody who just says, I want to come and do a master's. And then they're all about how they want to do the master's. The chances are really limited. But you need to be specific in these things and show them that you have done the work that is needed. So thank you very much, Chisom. Lilian and Buchi, is there any other thing for the objectives during the award essay?
That has been summarized, if I'm to say, because from my own knowledge and understanding what I did, generally I generalize everything I was going to learn or
Yeah,
acquire while I'm studying, and importantly, not just doing it academic way, deviating towards your social networks,
yeah,
trying to socialize in your environment. Because if you just keep talking about how you're going to learn this and do this research and do that, you are not really encompassing all you should do to be a complete like a human being when it comes to
yeah,
your mental health. So you need to diversify a bit to other parts of life that can help you complete, because every school cares about your mental well-being. So if you're talking about all you need to learn, also
yeah.
remember that you need to also improve on yourself. If you're not into social activities, that is part of your objective you should achieve during the award. I think everything has been said is all fine.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Buchi?
Yes, I think we it has all been said really, because the
Okay,
objective is basically just say what you want to achieve, and
okay.
the key thing here is always give it a give it a human face. Try to be realistic. If you want to travel, maybe your school is in Scotland, but you want to go to Wales. Tell them that you want to visit Wales, particular place in Wales, and it's a plus. Maybe you can connect it all together, the social part and the study part. Maybe
Yeah.
if you study transport, obviously traveling is a plus when you say you're studying transport.
Yeah.
So I want to go to it. I want to take the ferry.
Thank you.
Because you're studying transport.
Thank you very much, Transport. Thank you very much, Victory. Sorry. Okay, so I think Lilian will take us through the career plan essays, the second and the third part.
Okay, thank you once again for having me. So this particular question says career plan in the 5 years following your award. Of course, following your award, you should have gone back to your home country, which is the in thing. So, and like I said earlier, we don't just fall from somewhere and not have been somewhere. You should have had a route to where you're coming from, to what you started doing, in the sense that is expected or is assumed that each everyone applying for this scholarship must have had a career path he or she has been following before coming for the scholarship. So your career plan, your career path, which you have been told since you before coming for the scholarship, you would want to go back and enhance it and continue where you stopped and see all you've been doing. For example, maybe you're an academic or you're a lecturer back home and you're on study leave, you left the university and now you're going back. You're going back to the university to continue your work and be a better researcher in the field and be a better lecturer. So what I'm trying to say in essence is this: the question is not about in the UK anymore. It's now carrying back those or the skills you've acquired, everything you've learned, to now go and develop whatever you have been doing. So the idea here is for you to state how you want to use the knowledge and the skill which you have acquired from the study here in the UK to go and impact the development you have said you're going to bring into your home country, because you know the long and short of whatever we are doing is development. How do we bring a change back home? How do we make our country better? How do we make our specific research areas or whatever the career we've been doing better? So how can you now impart all that you have learned while you were studying? Now, for example, I try to use example here. If maybe you are working in a university and you have learned new ideas, research ideas, skills, you may want to organize some step-down seminars. You may want to write that you want to organize some step-down seminars to train some students. Or you want to, for example, what I'm studying, I'm studying medical mycology, and I know that back home we are having challenges of diagnostics. Now you may want to put in that when you go back home, that you want to help to organize some workshops, seminars, step down training for some clinical mycologists those who don't know how to carry out some molecular techniques in diagnosing medical mycological diseases. So in that aspect, they want to see that's your career which you have been working on before you left. How do you want to progress it following the 5 years of your study? How do you want to make it better? So you may also want to look into the point in the area whereby, for example, you see that where you're working, things are not going properly because there are people lack some expertise, or some areas are not functioning well due to one thing or the other. You may want to bring in those skills you've acquired here in the UK while you're studying, to see how to make that particular sector which affects your career too better. For example, you're working in the university, and back then in the university, the research that people are doing there are not well, how will I put it, maybe not well done because of lack of expertise or some other skills that are lacking. Now you have learned something. It's expected that you now put in that you have learned in your area to make it better. If you are into academics as well and you want to make the public to see the importance or the impact of what you have learned, you can as well write that you're going to publish some papers in peer-reviewed journals to make your work public and for everyone to see, make it to be credible and visible. You also want to talk about, okay, now you have learned something in the UK and you must have collaborated with some international organizations. You may want to bring in to indicate that you want the how would I put, maybe your research, your university, to collaborate with some of these international organizations to see if there are some changes that they can bring in. So the summary of what they're asking you, what your career plan will be in, like in the next 5 years, is for you to state how the skill you have acquired while you're studying here in the UK, how the knowledge you've acquired here will make your career your career life a bit better, well improved. Like I use myself as an example as a lecturer back home. If I get back home now, I've known where to put in my skills. I've known where to put in information that will help better my department, my faculty, and my entire school at large, and even beyond my university. What can I do in my community? I know the challenges they're having in diagnosing what's it called, fungal diseases. I can help further to go into this community and see if these clinicians are actually trained in the right manner to do this. And also try to say that you can collaborate with organizations and international, like for example, the international organizations, to bring in some of these set of art facilities that are important to help in the diagnosis of that fungal diseases, which I know that is actually lacking. Yeah. That is on the career plan in the 5 years following your award. I don't know if I've missed anything. Then for the long-term career plan, for example, I said I'm a lecturer back home. If you go back home, of course you want to become you want to how will I put it? You want to become a renowned researcher and a professor in the making. Now, what do you want to achieve? There is you want to help to target infectious diseases back home, because that is your career plan, your career path. Now, if you want to target that, how do you want to achieve that? You may want to collaborate with the health sector of your country. You may want to work on the consulting and policy making capacity for the Ministry of Health sector of your company. You may want to volunteer for international organizations. You may want to work with, like, for example, WHO and UNICEF to see how you could look into eliminating those infectious diseases that have been a problem in your society. So when you bring up all these points, I think it's a good boost that will help to see that, yes, when you go back home after your award, you're not going to just put it in put your award in the bin. You have ideas, you have plans on the way to help to better your career and also impact your community and wherever you're working. I don't know if I've missed anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lillian. I think you have really expatiated on it. Before I give the floor, I would just like to highlight this. So Franklin Fund is asking, what is the difference between the 5-year career plan essay and the development impact part 3 on how you will apply your skills when you return? I don't know if somebody can help answer that.
Sorry, you said difference between the 5-year career plan essay and the
Yes.
development impact. Okay, part 3. You know, the part 3 talked basically about your outcome, what do you want to achieve, and the time frame at which you want to achieve that, and then whom your beneficiaries are. There we like before I think I have mentioned it, or if I've not, these questions are kind of similar and intertwined. You can't leave this out of that. And when you're answering the questions, remember, you have to go straight to the answer of what you've been asked. Now, development impact, if you look at this question and that career plan, I don't think there is a big difference between that. But then the only slight difference I may try to note here is that the outcome of your work, for example, if you're going to do a research, the outcome of your work will now be, which has talked about it already, those achievable goals from your research you've done. Okay? But the career plan is something that you now want to go back home and begin to do. They only want you to mention in the development in part 3, what are the outcomes of your research? I don't know if you understand, of your study.
Yeah.
And now, what do you want to do in maybe in the next 12 months, in the next, and you know that development impact is not a long-term goal, let's say, not a long-term achievable goal. Rather,
Yeah.
it's something that you can do within a short period of what do you want to achieve. And now mentioning those that are your beneficiaries are also important. So I don't think, though they look similar, but the development in part 3 just want you to say the things you can achieve within a short time and not the longer time. I don't know if you get the point I'm trying to make.
Yes, Lillian, thank you. Thank you very much. I think you make a very great point. If I can throw some light into this, I would just like to say that the first thing you say or when you write in your 5 years following your award is that when I return home, that's the first thing. Please tell them
Yeah,
when.
exactly. If I go back to my application and said, following the end of my PhD study, I'll return back to my home country and
Yeah,
continue with my job as so and so. So you have to,
exactly.
because definitely you're going to do that back in your home country and not here in the UK. So whatever
Exactly.
you're going to do as a career plan, the long-term one and following and the 5 years following the award definitely will be done back home, because you're
Yeah.
gonna use whatever you've achieved here to go and develop your country. Remember that when if you're making your application, you're targeting some sub things which Buchi highlighted, 6 of them. That's
Yeah.
one you have indicated that you want to target. Now your career plan will be targeting them following the 5 years, and also the longer term career plan should be targeting that sub thing you have said you're gonna help achieve.
Yeah, but you should not assume, don't assume that they know that you're going to return home. You have to mention it in your AC. So, what I wanted to say is just to answer your question, the outcome and beneficiaries and timeline, you have to state them. This is what I hope to achieve. This is what I hope to achieve. The fact that they look similar does not mean you will copy and paste. No,
No.
you will go in this career plan. I think it's an opportunity for you to expatiate on how you intend to achieve those goals. For example, if you stated in the development impact AC that I'm going to conduct research to inform policymakers on I don't know, maybe the risk factors or the ways to prevent cardiovascular diseases in Cameroon or wherever it is in Zambia, if you're found there. When you come back to the career plan, tell them, when I go back home, the first thing I'll regain my job, maybe as a medical doctor, maybe working with the Ministry of Health. When I'm there, what will I do? I will use my skills gained in the UK. I will use my network gained in the UK. I am going to work with the professionals here in Cameroon or in Zambia or in Uganda, and I'm going to do this and this. So you actually explain how you will come about those outcomes. I don't know if it makes sense. So you're
Yeah.
not just going to copy your outcomes and beneficiaries. Of course, you would have to probably restate the outcome, maybe lightly, but there you have to explain how you're going to go about these plans, how you're going to achieve them. And when you have to state numbers, you have to state figures always. So yeah, I don't know, and it's also important in your career plan to also mention how the Commonwealth will benefit from you. Please tell them you're going to mentor other scholars. You can say that in the long term. Look for something that the UK will benefit from you coming here. It is what should I say? It's an international kind of exchange or relationship. So they should know that you're not just coming to gain skills and go back and focus on your people back at home. They should also know that they can gain something from you. It gives you a plus. So you can tell them, look for a way that you will be able to, when you come here, you're definitely going to network with people. If you're dealing with cardiovascular diseases, for example, which is my area of interest, you can say that, okay, you're going to work with the British Heart Foundation, you're going to do, I'm not sure, you look for things that will benefit, or where the UK would also say, okay, yeah, this is somebody we should invest in because we are also going to benefit from the person. You get. So yeah, Chisom and Buchi, do you have any other thing on career plan?
Let me also try to add to the answer to Franklin's question. And
Yeah.
what separates. So basically, when you're in the development impact section, I replied to a comment in the section that the essays are not independent but are interdependent. So you're telling one story, but you're telling it in parts. So in the developmental impact part, you're saying these are the outcomes, these are the beneficiaries, this is the timeline. And now maybe you've stated there that in the first 2 years you're going to do this, and in the first 5 years you're going to do that, and in the next 10 years you're going to do that. And now they've come this place and asked you, what are your career plans in the next 5 years? If your career plans in the next 5 years is not aligning with that outcome you've already stated in developmental impact that you achieve in 2 years or in 5 years' time, then you've already started shooting yourself in the leg. So
Definitely.
if you've said that you're going to train other, let's assume that you're in academia, and then you've said that you're going to train at least 20 people on this new process, going to learn from this study. Then your career plan, you have to state that you're going back to academia. You have to state that in academia you will be there and you will be now if you're in academy, you can now name one or two maybe course modules that you take over or that you try to introduce. So that's it's part of your career development that you're going to
Yeah.
do this, or you're going to try to be the head of the department in the next 5 years, and you're going to try to introduce this new teaching process. But when you're talking about the career plan, it's usually a personal thing, it's about you. But when you're talking about the developmental impact, it's usually about the beneficiaries of your impact. So try to look at it from that angle. But they have to be saying the same. I don't know if that makes sense.
Thank you very much,
Uh,
Buchi.
Ruchi, that makes sense. That's my perspective too. Exactly. You should just ask yourself, where do I see myself in 5 years' time? And then where do I see myself in 10 years' time? So 5 years' time is equivalent to the short-term career plan, and 10 years is equivalent to the long-term career plan. So more like it's about you, but just know that it's about you, but it's linked to the development impact, because when you return, your what you'll be doing first few months or first few years after you return will be linked to the how you promise to develop your country after you've gained some skills or been trained in a particular area. So just like more like it will help if you ask yourself, where do I hope to be 5 years time, 10 years time? It will help you to note down some points, then expand it and then answer the questions. Before that, fixing the development impact, and you should have a wholesome response.
Thank you very much, Shisom. So we'll move straight to the next essay, which is the proposed study in the UK. You're asked to provide a short outline of your proposed study or research, and this should be written for an audience that does not have any prior knowledge and must not be overly technical. Any abbreviations or specialist terms must be explained. I don't know, Chisom, Lillian, Buchi?
Okay, proposed study, like I mentioned, I'm a PhD scholar, so I already have my like I for first instance, I have my proposal, which is of course not more than 10 pages. But the challenge here is that they're asking you to put it in a simple, very, very, very simple way. So what I did was to get my, of course, I started with my abstract, and then you have word count, then try to write it, you read it, then write it in a very, very simple way. And if you want to check if what you've written is very simple, you give it to another person. And which brings me to important things that should be done after writing your essays, which is giving people to check it for you, and not just people that you know that can make very good inputs. So this was part of what I did. I gave it to someone. um like, you have to gauge if they actually understand what you've written. If they do, that means you are on the right path, and then try to give it to another person, and try to make it to be so simple. Even if you want to use technical words like us that are in medical field, try to find another word online that can still say the same thing, but in a very, very simple way. And then um, don't forget your references. Your references are very, very, very important, because their word counts, but you have to also put that into consideration. And okay, you have to put that into consideration, and then okay, that's basically just obey the timeline. My from PhD perspective, my proposed research or study it's already there. So all I did was just to simplify it enough and vet that it has been simplified, and then it should not be technical. I think that's the most important thing. Simplify it enough. Don't allow it to be too technical, and it's just 125 words. Try to keep to the word count. That's sorry. Does anyone have any other thing to?
Thank you very much, Chisholm. So I think you mentioned a very good point when it came to reading essays. And I think that the most crucial part is making sure that the reader is not in your field of study, because if I'm a medical doctor and I'm reading your essays and you're a medical doctor, I would probably understand what you're saying. But you can give your essays to as many people as possible, but try to have one person who has nothing to do with your field read it and just give you honest and very crucial feedback. So another thing about this study outline is, Buchi, I don't know your experience, but for master's students, this was kind of different because we don't have a proposal. So for me, what I did is that I basically explained what my study, what the course I wanted to study is all about. I explained it in 125 words. So I tried to explain what epidemiology is. I tried to go down in words that people, I mean, any layman can understand, and then try to explain, like, go what they wanted. So because you don't have, as a master's student, you will not have a research proposal. So you can do that for the 125 words. Um, Buchi, I
Um,
don't know if yes, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
and then they will also give there are also some points on under it. This is for the PhD aspect. There will still be a section for PhD application, which will be announced later. But for the PhD students that are here or intending PhD students, of course, proposal you have to make sure you break it into sections that you have to separate your research, make sure you state your research problem and also the questions you are trying to answer, clearly state your objective. If possible, just try to segment it. And I don't know if there is any split scholar applicant. In fact, one of the first objective is first requirement is for there to be a connection between your home university and your proposed home u- um, post university. So whatever you are writing, make sure that first of all states any connection. There are ways to find a connection between your university and your proposed university. So during the PhD section, we'll discuss this more. But for masters, you guys can give you can add anything to what we have said.
Any other?
Okay. Let me say something about this. I think from the MSc perspective. So when they say you should provide a short outline of your proposed study or research, like Larissa said, it's basically for the PhDs, they already have a proposal, so they already have basically what they want to study, what they want to research, what their main research focus on. But for the MSc, you may not have that, but you should, or it's expected that you should have an idea of what that, especially if you're coming from academia or you're coming from industry. You try to say that you're trying to solve a problem that exists, maybe in industry that exists in your workplace, or in academia that exists as a potential research area. So with that, you should try to say what the research should focus on. Let me give my own personal example. When I came, I'm studying the transport planning and engineering. It's a very broad field. A lot of things happen in transport planning and engineering. But when I stated my problem was basically on road safety. So when I came to the outline, my outline had to talk about road safety. So basically, there are different aspects now of road safety. So in the initial part, I talked about road safety in general. So here now you can now drill down to what aspect of road safety do you think or do you feel? Okay, it's not what you write it that you must eventually do when you start studying, but it's good to know that you have a plan. At the end of the day, you don't invest money in people that don't have a plan. And the whole point of this is to show that you have a plan.
Definitely, definitely.
You should have something that you're thinking of studying. If you're doing bridge engineering, then you're thinking of studying maybe suspended bridges. You want to look at how it can be applied in the maritime environment. You just have to try to show that apart from choosing your course, you have a deeper knowledge of an area that you're trying to go into, and that also has to be related to what you've been saying previously. So it's just a way of connecting everything together. The whole point of all these different essay questions is basically to find out if you've thought about this study you want to do in a wholesome manner. Have you thought about the problem you're solving? Have you thought about how you implement the problem after school? Have you thought about your own personal career? So that you don't come and do the degree and take the degree and go back and not apply it in your career or switch careers along the line. You want to be sure that you are focused and you are committed to the cause of whatever you are trying to do. So here is basically saying that you are going to study master's or PhD, you will do a research. What is the possible area that you are trying to focus on? If you already have a lot of specifics, that's when they tell you not to be very technical with the language so that a normal person can understand what you're trying to do. But most of the time, if you don't already have the specifics, then you can just in a generalized way say that you want to focus on this. road safety, for example, you want to focus on a pedestrian deaths of people that are on foot. You want to focus on motorcyclist deaths of people on motorcycles. You want to focus on people on bicycles. Understand, be more specific. Try to focus your attention more, and it still has to align with whatever you've stated in the documental impact. That is the most important thing. That whatever you're writing has to align. So, in summary, I would just say you've stated a problem, you've stated how you want to solve it, you've stated how you're going to contribute to solving the problem, you've stated what the outcomes to your activities will be. You've talked about your objectives during the study, you've talked about your career, and then you come to this essay and you're basically asking you all these things you've said. How does it play a role in the actual study you want to do? So you have to find a way to concisely say that in 125 words. The words are few, so you don't have to talk much, but try to
Yeah.
use them very widely.
Thank you very much, Bichi. So the next AC is the second part of the proposed study in the UK. You're asked to provide a detailed plan of your proposed study, and the selection panel will want to understand why you have selected your proposed courses and universities. You should remember that although the selection panel will be well informed, they are not likely to be specialists in your subject. So you're asked to describe clearly why you have chosen your proposed courses and universities and why you want to undertake this study in the UK. What is it that you are looking for in a course and how you have chosen the courses to relate to your objectives and any dissertation topic you have in mind, 300 words. So if you have started the application process, you should know by now that you are asked to choose 3 universities and you're supposed to write them out in order of preference. So you're asked to choose 3 courses. They could either be 3 courses from the same university, that's all up to you, or they could be 3 different courses in 3 different universities. Whatever way you decide to go, please make sure that the courses you choose align to your ACEs. They align to your objectives, they align to your purpose, they align to the reason why you are fighting what you're fighting, whatever it is. So the first thing you need to do is explain to them why you have chosen your proposed courses. And in why you have chosen your proposed courses, usually I would advise you go to the course website, you look at the modules, and you should be able to explain. You first of all talk about the modules. What is it about the modules that are interesting to you? Do they have a specific skill that you're looking for that will help you to achieve that outcome you mentioned? You should bring it out here. Is there something that you think that this specific course has that something else or another course does not have? You should go through the modules and try to look at them, get the skills that the modules would bring out, and then highlight them. Look at the lecturers. That's the second thing. We're still talking about the courses. Look at the lecturers on the course. Is there a lecturer who is interested in your fight? If you are talking, sorry, I'm mostly in the area of health, so I'm probably going to be focusing there. But if you're fighting, say, mental health, you're interested in mental health, you're an enthusiast of mental health, is there this professor who has been dealing with mental health in low and middle income countries or in crisis areas, who has done so much work in it, and you are so passionate about mental health that you're really hoping to meet this lecturer, network with this lecturer, maybe work with this lecturer in future? This is the opportunity for you to tell them. So it shows that you have done your research, you know what you want, you're going out there for it. When you have done so for courses, mainly look at the lecturers and talk about the modules. Now, when you come to the universities, the general tendency is to say that it is one of the top universities in the world. Everybody is going to say that. So I'll advise you don't say it because it's not going to differentiate you from people. I mean, this is a competitive scholarship. There are thousands of people applying. You want to probably go to that university and check, is there a research they are working on specifically that is of interest to you? You want to go to that university and check, is there something about this university that other universities do not have, apart from being one of the top 10 in the world or whatsoever? What is it about the university that makes them stand out? You will find something on their website that is in connection to what you are doing. So just read through it, but try to bring something specific to you. That's how you make your essays to stand out. And then the last part is why you want to undertake this study in the UK. There are so many reasons. You have to check, is it language? Is it the culture? Is it the fact that in the UK, the masters are usually like 1 year? and then maybe in areas like in Belgium you have 2 years, but you will not just state it like that. If you want to do a 1 year and you're like, oh, in the UK it's easier for me because it's 1 year, tell them why. Will it permit you to move early on in your career? Why do you want to take a 1 year? How is that beneficial to you? Don't just state the things or the reasons without explaining how that will help you either to achieve your career plans or as a person to grow as a person or to network. So you have to, like Lillian has been mentioning, it's where you're coming from, what you have been doing, and where you are heading to. That's what all these essays are about. So you have to link them through. And then the second part is what is it that you are looking for in a course and how your chosen courses relate to your objective. Of course, you can start your essay by saying, what I want to make sure here is you don't need to start to write out the essays like start with your courses, go to the universities, go to the third, then go to the second part and go answer the second part. You can actually answer all of these as a whole 300 words, but making sure that you answer all the questions in it. So what is it that you're looking for in a course? Were you looking for a course that will give you skills in data analysis? Were you looking for a course that will give you skills in public management or I don't know, policy or finance? Tell them that you were looking for a course that will give you those skills and why. Because your aim is probably, I don't know, to be a policymaker or to improve policies and this. So you needed those skills. So that's why you chose this school. But you should tell them also those academic skills you get from it, those networking events, those lecturers. Basically, in 300 words, this is how you have to put it. Any dissertation topic that you have in mind, like Buchi mentioned, you're expected to at least have something in mind. If you don't have, I don't think it's a big deal. But if you can put in a word, please, it doesn't mean that what you put here as dissertation topic is what you're going to do. No, what I put in my dissertation topic is completely different from what I'm doing now. So you can just get a dissertation topic that is in line with what you're fighting for or your course of action, and then tell them that this is what you're thinking about, this is what you have in mind as a dissertation topic. So basically that's what I'll say for this. I don't know if the others have anything to add.
Let me say something. Because I think I'm seeing some comments, people talking about having just one university already having the course they want to study and things like that. So the scholarship asks you to have 3 options in the form, and for good reason, because anything could happen. I know someone that got the scholarship, and then the course that she had gotten, that she had put as her first choice and had gotten the admission, and then university says they didn't get enough offers from people to study that course that year, so they are withdrawing. So they are not taking up that course that year. So that means admission gone, course gone. And then she has to come back to the commission and then switch to the second choice. So that is the reason why you have 3 options. So even if you secure admission in one option, still have option 2 and option 3 is for good reason. And when you're writing the essay, you need to talk about all 3. So like Larissa has said, you can have 3 courses in one university, or you can have 3 universities with it's 3 courses, but it should be, if you have 3 universities, it should be one similar course. Maybe the course title, the words are different, but it should be the same. So in that case, when you're writing, if you have, I think my general advice would be, if you have 3 universities with similar course, focus on the course and then explain a little, use some of the words to talk about each university and why they're a good candidate to study that course. So you do that in 2 sentences. Look for 2 good points and just raise them, but you talk about the course. The second part will be, if you have one university and 3 courses, so it's very clear to the commission that this is the university you want to go to. You don't need to spend much of your words praising the university. What you need to talk about now is why you have chosen these 3 different courses. Because obviously, if it's one university and it's 3 courses, the 3 courses have differences.
Yeah.
And you cannot say the 3 of them are the same. So you need to pinpoint the real reason why you've chosen 3 different courses in the same university. Maybe the university may be top notch, maybe it's Oxford or Cambridge, very good. They have the very strong reputation. Everyone already knows that. So you said you want to study this or you want to study that. Obviously they are related, but there may be something in this. So maybe at this point you have to go into the course content. You want to study this because you have this module that's giving this skill. And you want to study this other one as second option because you have this module that's giving this other skill. And you want to study this other one because this module But then at that point, you've ranked yourself that the first one has this particular skill. That's the most important to you. If you don't get that, then you can fall for this second one, which has this other skill, which is also important in this area. If you don't get that, then you fall back to option 3. So you have to be realistic to yourself about why you're choosing this thing, and then find a way to communicate that in your essay and say why it is this way. So you have to, obviously, you also say why you want to study in the UK. Why are you not in Japan? Why are you not in Jamaica? Why are you not doing your master's in your home country? You have to say why is the UK the destination for you. You could have gone anywhere else. You could have stayed home. So you need to say why is the UK. But whatever choices you've made, you need to justify with good reason why. Be very practical with yourself. The truth is, at the end of the day, it's not just about writing a good essay. In the process of writing this essay, you ask yourself very meaningful questions that are actually meaningful for your own personal growth. So you need to really understand what you want to do. Don't just apply for applying sake, but apply because your friend said it's good to apply, or because your friend said the Commonwealth is prestigious, it's good, they have a very good name, or because they are paying this particular level of stipend. Be realistic. Why exactly do you want? Because you can study anything. Whatever you choose to study, they'll pay for it. Yeah, it's like a blank check. They've given you an opportunity to study whatever you like, wherever you like. So you need to tell them, why did I choose this? It's because they didn't tell you to choose the cheaper school. If you choose the cheaper school, then you get more points. No, it's basically asking you, why have you chosen? Because whatever course you choose, if you choose the most expensive course, the most expensive person, they will pay for it.
Yeah.
But they want to be sure that they are putting their money where it's supposed to be, that you are not just being, let's say, overly luxurious with your choice. You need to explain exactly why. So don't go to, because Cambridge has the highest school fees, I'll choose 3 courses in Cambridge so that they'll pay for it, so that I can Cambridge. No, it's not about being in Cambridge, it's about why these courses. Why?
Yeah.
You understand? So that's the most important thing. Try to have that in mind, because the truth, and if you ask any scholar, they always tell you the frame of mind with which you approach the essays is always very important. If you don't approach the essays with the right frame of mind, with the right thinking capacity, you think you're making a point, but you're not making a point. So you need to approach it from the right perspective. I think that's one of the most important things that I realized, because I did this application twice. I didn't get it the first time. I have to say that. So if you're a first timer, good on you. I know many people that got it on their first attempt, so it's not impossible. And the first time I didn't attend a session like this, but the second time I did, and it made a very big difference in changing the way I viewed the scholarship application and what is aiming at. And that might be the deciding factor for you. It's not really much. Sometimes the people say use this spell checker, use this software, review, make sure the grammar is intact, punctuation. At the end of the day, someone that makes a point misses the comma will be better than you that has all the commas, all the full stops, all the hyphens, all the semicolons, but didn't make a point. So you need to. I'm not saying punctuation is not good. I'm not saying you should
Exactly.
construct
I was about
nonsense.
to say, at the same time, we don't want to encourage people to not review their essays.
I'm not saying you should construct nonsense. I'm not saying, please, if you know the date when the application is closing, make sure all your essays are ready a week before and start doing spell check, formatting, review, and all that.
Yeah.
You don't submit a Word document. I think I also need to say this. Some people think you upload a PDF. You're not uploading a PDF. You're not submitting a Word document. Some people have not opened the form. There's a box in the form. You copy your text and paste it there.
At least.
So make sure it's properly done in Microsoft Word or WPS Word or whatever document you're typing it on. And copy and paste. And when you copy and paste, read through it in the form to make sure that one paragraph has not merged itself or 2 words have not merged together. Those things are important. But more important is the meaning of what you're writing. Yeah, I think that's the more important is the meaning of what you're writing.
Yes. Thank you very much, Kushi. Yes, Lillian, go ahead.
Yeah, can I also note that it's advisable not to rush through the application process. You may wish to take your time and go through it. If you want to I just say take your time, because I think you have up until the deadline 17th or 18th of
17th
October.
October.
17th of October. So just take your time. Don't try to rush and submit. make sure you've crossed every T and dotted every I's, and that what you're giving in is what you can call I've done my best. So don't rush through the application process.
Yes,
If I'm
it
saying,
was best come best.
yeah.
Yeah. So I
You
just want to is somebody
okay?
saying something?
Oh, I wanted to add to what
Yes, Chisholm.
said. Like she said, this application will really make you think through your life. Like there's no how you will answer all these essays. You will not have a direction for your life at the end of it. So it
Yeah.
will just give you a particular. It's more like a reflective question. So it needs time. It's not something that you can just wake up and then write.
Yeah.
If possible, try it, and then you have to write and write. You can write today, tomorrow you read through it and see something wrong and then correct.
Change it.
And like I mentioned before, please send out your essays to people. During my own time, I didn't see it. I didn't even know of any informative section. All I did was contact different scholars from LinkedIn, and they reviewed my applications and made very, very, very good input. I don't think I would have even gotten the scholarship without them. So don't hide your application. Send it out to people. Beg them. Let them. I think we have a WhatsApp group for people that would like to apply. Ask people to help you review, and you will get a very, very good point. And you would have written something like what you said, and you think you are making sense, only to realize that when someone else reads it and then asks you some question, you just realize that, oh, I didn't put this well and I need to put it very well. And please, most importantly, please don't use ChatGPT to write your essays.
Very
Please.
important. Or any other AI
Any
website.
other AI tools, they
Use
are
your brain. Use your brain, please.
just try to use your. There was no chat gpt when we did this. At least previous applications, there were no chat gpt. Now things will be easier, but please don't be tempted, because there are AI tools that will detect whether
Yeah.
you use chat gpt or not. Please just try to use your. Don't draw. Chat gpt might be maybe much later to maybe fine tune if you want to, but you can still fine tune without using chat gpt. But please avoid it as much as possible, so as
Yeah.
not to choose, because that's automatic disqualification. Your application will not even be considered. So
Yeah.
please and please, then finish your application, even if possible weeks before, so that you will not have to be like a friend of mine was trying to submit and then the website was not going through and all those kind of things. So that you not be caught up there, try to submit and then rest and start your praying session. If you are if you
Yeah.
believe in God, try pray and then hope that something comes out from it. So
Yeah.
just to do your
Thank
best, review your essays. Right,
Thank
I
you, Chisholm. So, talking about automatically disqualifying yourself, it's not only the AI website. I read a comment or a question here where someone was asking if they could have a full layout of examples of essays or not. Sincerely, guys, even if you have a mentor who is willing to give you their essays, if you want to disqualify yourself, copy their essays and pass and
or
paste
even
it to
copy
your own,
online.
because each of these essays are registered in their website. Plagiarism will be detected, any
Uh,
level of it. So please try to avoid it. There's somebody who says their battery is at 9%. The nominating agency for the Commonwealth Masters, we started the live by saying this. And please, even if you log out, know that this session is going to be on YouTube. So you can always come back and listen to them. Those who were asking for the slides, you don't need the slides because these essays are part of the application form and the slides contain only the aces. So please go through the form, and as you're filling them, you will find the aces. If you forgot something or there are points that you missed, you can always come back to the recording. For the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, yes, you need a nominating agency. In fact, for both, you need nominating agencies. For the Commonwealth Masters, nominating agencies are usually NGOs, like the Hali Access Network, like the Ministry of Higher Education, depending on where you are, like the FAWE, which is only for women. You just need to go to their website and read on nominating agencies. All these informations you're asking are on their website. So I want to really encourage you to apply for this scholarship. You need to have read that website at least 2 times. You should have read the eligibility criteria. You should go through everything. You're going to have the answers to most of your questions. Yes, if you already have admission to a university, that is an advantage. Put it as your first option. Put that university as your first school, but you still need to fill in the other second and third options. And I think choosing universities, please. Buchi mentioned going to Cambridge and all. Like I said, you are allowed to dream in this scholarship. You're allowed to be anything that you can be. But I think you should also be strategic. Cambridge, Oxford, Imperial College, London, and all of that, they are very competitive schools. I am not saying you cannot get in, but what I want to say is you probably don't want to find yourself where Oxford is your first choice, Cambridge is your second choice, Imperial College, London is your third choice. And what if they don't take you for all of those three? There are less competitive schools. You can mix them. Have your first choice, the school that you really want to go to, your dream school. Or if you already have admission to a school, put it in there. Know that even if it's bad, because what the reason why you're asked to choose three choices is such that if you don't have admission into the first school, you go to they'll give you the second one. If you don't have admission to the second school, they'll consider your third option. So you need to go through that. No, you don't need to have applied to the school first before you apply to the scholarship, because many schools have probably not even opened application sessions for 2020. What we're doing now is 2024, 2025, right?
No, 2023, 2024.
Oh no, I mean
Yeah,
these people
24
are
to
applying to enter 2024, 2025.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I'm not sure some schools have probably started because they usually start in September. But you can submit your application for the Commonwealth scholarship. Put in your schools that you aspire to go to, and then wait until they open the application portals and apply to your schools immediately afterwards. You don't need to have an admission before you apply for the scholarship. I think that has answered some few questions. We'll continue with the other questions later. Let's just round up with this. Personal statement. I think Buchi threw a bit of light on this, but let's just read through. The CSC encourages applications from candidates who have faced significant disadvantage or personal barriers. Somebody asked if with a disability they can apply for, I think I saw a comment like that. Yes, you can apply. There's even a nominating agency for disability, something, something. I think I saw that. So you can apply if you have a disability. Significant disadvantage or personal barriers to higher education, but this has nothing to do with disability. I just thought about it and I said I should address it. Please summarize the ways in which your personal background has encouraged you to want to make an impact in your country, and then you may wish to highlight any areas where you have already made significant contributions, including overcoming personal or community barriers in accessing higher education or within your field. 500 words. Please, the main thing, Buchi has already said this, but the main thing I would like to highlight here is no matter the thing you're trying to describe, please use the STAR approach. There should be a situation in which you found yourself. There should have been a task that you wanted to do, or that you were asked to do, or that you decided to do. There should be an action that you took towards that task. That's why they say including overcoming personal or community barriers. And then there should be a result. That's the STAR approach: situation, task, action, result. So whatever it is you're describing, if you want to say, because your personal statement is all about where you're coming from, what are the things you've encountered, what have you done so far, this is where you drop in everything else that you were not able to drop in all the other aces. Please try to use this approach and then say it out concretely. All of this will differ depending on the background and depending on the story you even decide to choose. But try to make it. Another thing I want to say: these people reading your essays are also human beings. Try to. I'm not saying you should play on their psychology. What I'm trying to say is try to put yourself in the person's shoes. Sometimes bringing in a little bit of emotions can help. So if you have, like, I read a story, I read somebody's essay last time, and she was talking about how her issues at home and how she had to overcome um, a family member who had like some mental issues and everything. I literally dropped a tear when I was reading it, and she had the scholarship. I'm just trying to say, try to bring out, think about those stories of yours that when somebody reads, the person knows that okay, this person has been through it. This person knows what they want. This person has done this to overcome this barrier that they had faced. Because it's not about going to say all your problems. I'm not saying that you should look pitiful. No, I'm just saying that bringing in a little bit of emotion. If there is something that has really touched you before, bring it out here and then write it down clearly. Yes, speakers, I'm done with this one. Listening to you.
um, I think what I'll add to this is the title of the essay. says a whole lot. It's called a personal statement. And that simply means that you're talking about your person. So you have to give the essay a human face. Yeah, you have to give the essay a human face. I would call it not playing on people's psychology. It's it's like you have to tell them who you are. The person reading this essay has to feel like the person knows you from reading the essay. That is the point. It is your personal story and it's usually in the case of where are you coming from. Usually, I tell people the personal statement usually because people say personal statement, statement of purpose. Statement of purpose and personal statement, I think the main difference is usually statement of purpose is more about where are you going to, and personal statement is more about where are you coming from. But they can be interchanged. But you basically have to say where. So, like for me, my personal statement, I always try to talk about. I'm studying transport. How did I pick interest in studying transport? Or I
Yeah.
want to solve a problem with safety. How did that become a problem for me? Because there's 1,000 problems in the world. Why have I chosen this one? What made it a major problem for me? What made it stand out to me? Why is my interest in this area? And the says you've written a lot of things, but like I said initially, the personal statement is where you talk about the things the essays did not give you space to talk about. So if you have a childhood, if you're related to your problem from the childhood experience is what's prompting you to go into this area, good and fine. If you had an experience while you were a teenager, you can use that. If you had an experience while you were in undergrad, you can use that. If you have an experience from where you're currently working, maybe this was never a problem to you, never saw it as a problem, but immediately you started working in this field, 2 years or 1 year, 2 years into this field, you could see that this is a major challenge, and you've asked around and you've searched around and you cannot find someone that is tackling this problem, and you've decided that you want to try to tackle this problem because you've seen the merits in the long run. You can talk about that. So it's basically try to show them that you're a real person, you have a real story that you want to tell. You are a real human being and you have a commitment to this problem somehow. You can't just wake up and say you just want to solve this problem. How would they know that tomorrow after study, you not just wake up and abandon the problem? So you have to try to show them that this problem relates to you in some way. It must not be very, very personal. Maybe it must not be something that affected you personally, something that affected your family, but it could be something like an experience that your friend has, or maybe when you visited a particular area and you saw something, or you were working in a particular field, or you went on holiday somewhere and saw a situation that changed your perspective on something. It could be literally anything. But try to make it personal. That's the point. Try to make it from a personal experience. And like I said, you have to, it's star approach. You have to, it's basically, you have to say, because you give examples in the personal statement.
Yeah.
You don't just make brash statements. You give personal examples of something that you've gone through. So what was the situation? What did you do? What was the outcome? What are the results? How did you reflect on it? You're fighting for, because at the end of the day you're fighting for something. Yeah, you're fighting to reduce malaria in Africa. Why? Malaria almost killed one of your cousins at some point, and maybe the treatment in the hospital was not so good, or you've seen a lot of people, or you've heard that your friend has a cousin that has died of malaria. Somehow, there's something somewhere that's prompting you into this field. That makes it feel like you have a vested interest, and then what they can invest in you because you have an investment already in doing this thing that you want to do. So I think that's the way I looked at it when I wrote my own essay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bushi. Any
Yes.
other comments?
Still using the STAR technique, and still relying on all you have said. The truth is, like Puchi said, a personal statement is just like, where are you coming from? Okay. So the point I'm trying to make here, even if you don't want to, even if you don't have a very personal experience, you can, I think Buchi also mentioned it already, you can talk about your experience from where you're working, maybe your workplace or what you're doing so far.
Yeah.
And again, most importantly, they try to channel whatever experience you've had towards the developmental goals, the SDG goals, or the themes of the Commonwealth. Maybe you want to just look into the health and education sector of whatever you want to do. And when you're not doing that, that will help you to be more directed at where you're coming from. Like, for example, one may say, coming from a developing country where so and so is being happening in the health sector, it may not be too personal to you, but you've
Yeah.
seen what is happening in the health sector that's actually affecting people, and not no proper diagnosis and or I'm just giving examples. So when
Mm-hmm.
that happens, this is what is now making you to do this and why you want to do this. And remember, like the action, you should have had some things that you have done in that line that is pushing you further to go acquire more, and to come back and kind of bring positive impact in that particular area you're talking about, maybe the health sector or the education sector. So it may not be too personal to you, but where your career, your career path or whatever you've been doing can help direct you in this line. I think that is what I have to add to it.
Yeah. Just to say, Buchi mentioned reapplying. Please, if you have applied before and you are going to apply again, whether you were a reserved candidate, whatever it is, please don't use the same aces. You're still going to disqualify yourself. And then it also shows that you have not made any progress, because if you were disqualified or if you got to the final stage and they didn't take you, there was probably a reason or there was something. You can always make your essays better. You don't just want to copy what you had last time and feel it means you have not made any progress in 1 year. It means you have not changed anything in 1 year. So you're not really giving them any more reason to want to take you. You want to modify your essays. You want to tell them what else you have done in this 1 year that should give them more reason to take you. I don't know if you get. So please avoid, try to modify your essays no matter the number of times you apply. I don't know if there
Yeah,
should be one
Let me
more.
that's
add. Let me add to that as well. Let me add to
Yes.
that as well. I I know that we are just people that applied to the scholarship. Yeah, we got it. Yes, we don't really know what happens on the back end.
Yeah.
But personally, I would like to believe that if you submit the same essay, plagiarism would trash your essay, because the plagiarism checker does not know who you are.
Yeah.
So if you just take it that is a copied essay from last year, just trash it.
Yeah.
That's number one. So you can never use the exact same essay. In fact, if you can change the sentence in your essay and reward it, it's much. I feel like you should do that. The
Sure.
scholarship is that important. Just go through that first. But like Larissa said, it shows that you don't have any growth. So if last year you said that you want to solve this problem, and this year you're coming back to tell us the same story, it means that between last year and this year you didn't do anything to solve that problem. So that means it's not an important problem to you.
To you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
anyway
So
for
you
my
have to say that you've done something. There has to be something extra that you've been doing towards this, because if you're saying that if Commonwealth doesn't give me this scholarship, I'm not solving this problem, then it's as good as saying let's not even invest in you. Like, you're not a serious person.
Yeah.
So
Chisom.
that's basically it. So just try to look at it that way. Rework this, and if you got reserved last year, how do you know that more competitive people are not applying this year? So you need
yeah
to raise your own competition as well,
as
because there are
well.
also a lot of people who were denied last year that are also coming back. There are a lot of reserves and they are coming back with experience now. So you
Yeah.
also need to up your game to also
To
be
raise
on
your
the
bar
table.
high.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what I wanted to say. The essay that didn't fetch me the scholarship last year. How sure am I that it will even get me to the reserved list this year?
Yeah.
So best to just trash it and try to come up with something else.
Yeah. And then
Not better.
concerning the university applications, please, if you have applied to a university and you didn't get a scholarship, you can always write. One thing I want you people to understand, please write emails. Just write, ask questions. These guys are ready to answer. Whatever the university, whatever it is, just send an email, go to their website, check the email and write to them, ask your questions. They will answer you. They will answer you. So if you have an offer and then you don't have a scholarship, write to them, tell them that you have an offer, you did not have a scholarship, you would like to defer your offer to next year. Some schools are very clear on their website, they don't differ. Some others, they don't say anything. But even if they say that they differ and you still just want confirmation, write to them. You never know. There's no one rule that cuts everything. Write to them and they will let you know if they can differ your options. If they differ it, good. If they don't differ, you can still apply next year. Especially for schools, you can always apply next year to the same school for the same course. If they want to take you, if they took you this year, there are high chances they'll still take you next year. So really, don't fret about that.
Yeah, to add to that, Larissa, not just that, whatever you see on any website, maybe there are rules, eligibility criteria. Don't just disqualify yourself. Always like push. I personally I believe that there are always exceptions. There are
Yeah,
all the time there are always exceptions. So even if they say this, and maybe you don't have the maybe you didn't meet, still push and try to present what you have. Or even if they say they don't differ, ask them, tell them, explain to them, and who knows, you might be given an exception. So whatever area or whatever challenges or whatever application that you are doing, or don't just take whatever they say hook, line and sinker. Always try to think that okay, there should be an exception for me, and always contact them. And even if your application was not successful, you can ask them for a feedback or what went wrong. Next
exactly.
year, if you are reapplying, you have already developed a personal, if not personal, but maybe the person can still remember your name
Yeah,
or can still trace you somewhere, and that will be a positive bias towards favoring you. So don't just keep quiet. Always try to make your voice known to whoever that is in charge. Let them hear you and whatever you have to say.
very good points, Chisom. Thank you very much. But you
Uh,
guys are saying that
I
you're
think
done.
I want to add an extra point. Okay, I see this comment. Thank you so much, Uchendu. Uh, yeah. So one other thing that we should like what Chisholm said also applies to other eligibility criteria. English language test. Somebody was asking about IELTS and the rest.
Yeah.
I remember when I applied for my admission to University of Leeds, they said they sent me a conditional offer that I should get IELTS this and that. I sent them an email. I said I'm from Nigeria. I did the primary, secondary, university in English. I have a degree in English language. I have the West African Education Certificate. Yes, I got a B in English. I have my university letter that says I studied in English. And from my personal statement that I sent to you, you can see that I have good command of English. Please, there's no need for another English test.
You told them you don't have the time.
So I told them even I had to say even the English test is expensive. I don't have the money to do it. This thing, whoever read that email could tell that you could speak English.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
then before I know what's happening, I got the email that my offer is now one condition. So always never disqualify yourself. They say they don't take the university says we don't take two. Write and apply and write. Tell them, see, my tutu is because of this, but I have so years of work experience. I've done this online course, I've done this, I've done that. What's the worst thing? The worst thing you get is the same no you got before.
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
you have nothing to lose. You have
Great point.
absolutely nothing to lose. So always push. If it's important to you and you push well enough, I believe you will usually get an answer. You may not get the
Definitely.
exact answer you're looking for, you get an answer.
Definitely.
Uh, I think I want to answer one of the questions in the comment section as well. Someone was
Yes.
talking about difference between Commonwealth Masters and Commonwealth Shared. First of all, the applications are different. So in Masters, the application is on now, but I think Shared application is not out yet. I am a
No.
Commonwealth Shared member. So the main difference is that in Masters, you can choose any university and any course in the UK. But in
Yeah.
Shared, they've chosen universities and the courses that they want. And those
Yeah.
are the ones that you will apply with. So you have to, and in Shared, you can make multiple applications. You can make more than 3 applications in Shared. So you can go to their list of courses that they've applied. And for each course, you make 1 application. So if you see 7 courses that you like, you can make 7 different applications. And you can actually get all of them. And then you can choose.
Yeah.
I think maybe that we can expand more on that in the future, but that's the main difference for these masters now that we are talking about. You have 3 university options or 3 course options, and you focus on those 3, and it could be any university or any course in the UK. Once you're able to
Yeah.
justify that a link to the CSC team, SDG goals, and everything.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Buchi.
I think that
Yeah.
makes that's quickly. If the question is not well answered, I think maybe we can find a way to go through it later on. I
Yeah.
put
Now that we
links
have
to the
we have just
PhD,
this last
master.
essay.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't get that well. The last sentence, Buchi.
Okay, I said I put the link to the current PhD and master scholarship
Oh,
ongoing in the
oh, okay,
section.
okay,
That's looking for
okay.
the links. Yeah.
Thank you. So I just want to say that another difference is all of these go through nominating agencies. What are nominating agencies? It means that there is somebody who needs to vouch for you, like say, okay, this person, we have chosen this person to, or we find that this person is eligible or good enough for this scholarship. For the Commonwealth Masters, those nominating agencies are the NGOs and whatsoever. For the Commonwealth Shared, the nominating agencies are the UK universities you are applying to. So the UK universities will nominate you to the Commonwealth Secretariat and say, okay, in our school for the Masters of Public Health in the University of Southampton, for example, these are the number of people that we have chosen. We nominate um, Angela or Maureen to that we see that their essays are good enough or we think they are good enough for this scholarship. So the CSC now takes your essays and read them and say, okay, you have been nominated by University of Southampton, we give you the scholarship. For the Commonwealth Masters, they will say, okay, I think there's FSB in Nigeria. I've heard of it. Please correct me.
Yeah.
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 So
Correct.
Federal
it's one of
Scholarship Board.
Exactly. It's one of the scholarship, the nominating agencies in Nigeria. So you have to apply to the CSC through the online portal that Buchi just shared. And you also have to apply to FSB, depending on their requirements and their criteria. Note that every nominating agency will have its own criteria and requirements, which you need to fulfill, which is completely different from your application to the Commonwealth. So just to round up, this should be the last essay. Yes, this should be the last essay now. Um, Yes, voluntary leadership experience. I think we have here you still need to use the STAR approach. You should tell us why, what was the volunteering all about? Why were you even volunteering? What I did here is that I divided my essays into two. I had 250 words for voluntary and 250 words for leadership experience. It's all up to you. You can mix it, you can do whatever it is, just make sure that you bring them out. You should bring out voluntary. For the voluntary part, you need to tell them what is it you were volunteering, why did you even go out to volunteer, what organization did you volunteer with, and you don't just say, try to avoid using we. Be specific. What was your task as a volunteer in that place? And your task should have numbers. I gave a health talk to 100 adolescents in a public school, and I was talking to them about menstrual hygiene and all whatnot. My role was to give that health talk. You have to mention your specific role, you have to mention the result at the end. What did you achieve? So you give the situation, the task, you give the action that you did, and the result. So at the end, we had sensitized over 100 adolescents on female health. We had done this, we had done that. It all depends on what you're working on. Bring out those things. You can decide one or two volunteering activities, or you can choose one and really work on it, expatiate it, explain it well, and bring out the STAR approach. For your leadership experience, you have to use the same STAR approach, but please bring out leadership qualities. There are qualities of a leader. A leader is empathetic. A leader is visionary. A leader is proactive. A leader thinks ahead of time. A leader takes action. A leader, so you have to bring out, so as when you're talking about your story, try to bring out those leadership qualities in you as a good communicator, as someone who brings peace or who knows how to talk to, as a good listener, as a visionary leader. This is what I saw, so I decided I proactively did this, did that, and then this was the result. I was able to convince, I was able to gather, I was able to construct or build a team. I was able, that those are the things you need to bring out, but try to bring it out in a logical stage. There was a situation, I did this task, or there was a situation, then there was a task to be performed. Then I took the action to perform that task, and then this was the result that I have. Your result should be measurable. You, in the end, what did you get? and how was it different from what it was before. That's why you need to start by giving the situation. So it is a whole story. That's basically what I can say for this. I'll leave the floor to the other
Can
speakers.
I say something?
Yes, Lillian.
Okay. Thank you for the enlightenment. So I want to say that it's also good that you indicate the if you've had a role you played. Maybe, for example, you were the secretary of an organization, or you were an officer, maybe where you work, you were given a role, maybe like a sanitation officer, or you were a treasurer of a particular organization. While you're stating those your leadership roles and abilities, it's also good for you to bring out those roles you have played as a leader. You may not necessarily be the president, the secretary, or the treasurer, but it's also good that even if you were a member of a committee that was assigned a task to do so and so, being a member of a committee, you of course you must have put in some ideas. If it's something that you help, for example, you're a member of a committee and you brought up an idea during the meeting that was carried out, and there was a result out of that, your suggestion or whatever you brought in, is also a point to note. But generally, what I want to note is where if you have held the role as a secretary, treasurer, or president, or whatever you've held any role in any particular organization, also note that you were secretary of social and so organization from so and so year, so and so year, and then can now add whatever you did in that group, or whatever you achieved by your contributions, or whatever it may be. But if you were not, if you never held any role, or if you're just a member of the committee or whatever, you can as well note that. Is also a good point. Thank you.
That's a very salient point, Lillian. I think what Lillian is trying to say basically is that you don't need to be the head of an NGO. You don't
No.
need to be the delegate or the whatsoever. I don't know about the others. I, for one, I was just a medical doctor in a rural area in Cameroon. Full stop. I wasn't anything. What you need to do is learn how to say your story, how to brand yourself. That is what is actually important. So when they talk about leadership, most of the times we're tempted to think, oh, I'm not the president of anything, or I'm not the... No, no, you need to think. Like they mentioned, this is actually where you think about your life. You need to sit down and think and be like, where did I have impact? What is that thing? It could be at your church,
Yes.
be at your church. You could just have done something, led a group to whatever it is. Just think, but don't minimize anything. That's the point I just want. Don't minimize any experience that you have had, because your experience, as little as you may think it is, depending on how you portray it, might be more than somebody who is actually the president or CEO or the founder of any NGO. So it's more about how you say your story. It's important. And no story is not worth saying. Your story is worth saying. So just believe in what you have done and go for it.
Even in your community, or in your villages, or in your town, you could just be a member of your the women, whatever it is in your village, in your community. For example, you're the treasurer of your kindred meeting, maybe for the men, and for the women, maybe you're the treasurer of the women wing, whatever. Anyway, you've actually shown leadership. And most importantly, if in that group or in that committee where you are a member, and you brought up an idea which was executed and achieved, that maybe helped the society to move a step further, it's very important to know that, because it shows that you actually have good leadership ability to be able to bring up idea that was executed and give a good result. All these are good to put in your leadership experience. And sorry to also mention that volunteering is very important. Like we here in the UK, we know the importance of volunteering. Even as a student, you have to keep volunteering. Back home, you may not necessarily need to have all the money you need, or maybe have enough finance. A little work you can do in your community is enough. Even as a youth, as a core member, I remember when I was 7, we organized that was the period, I don't know, I think we went to share nose masks and some what's it called, water guard in the market square. Is enough volunteering work. Any little thing you've done in the community without receiving profit or any pay
Yeah.
is a volunteering work. Just have to think about that. Have you done it in any way? Bring them all out, and that will help you out. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Lillian. Thank you. Chisam Buchi.
Well,
Yeah, I think
oh,
Please forgive me.
so.
Just before you go on, please guys, can you just drop your comments in the chat? The next thing now is question and answer. We can give a few minutes for that while Buchi and Chisam are on. Yes, please go ahead.
no, but you can go for it.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that never minimize whatever you've done.
Yeah,
Whatever you've done, always I say blow your own trumpet because no one's going to blow it for you. Yeah,
definitely.
something as simple as I tell you the truth. Something as simple as when you were in school and you had a reading group and you organized. Maybe you were the one that was calling 3 or 4 of your friends together and you guys were studying together. That is a leadership experience. It depends on the way you say it, but you have to make sure that you're not just stating things that are in the air. Make it use the star approach. There was a situation, there was a task you did, there was uh, you did, and then there was a result. So don't just say that we gathered and we were reading, and I was the one always calling them. So don't do that. But but there has to be probably improvement of results. You were always coming together. You were the one fixing. I remember. I think I made an example somewhere about being a WhatsApp group admin.
Mhm.
So it depends on what you achieve. Because when you're telling the story, the truth is, if you're telling lies, it's evident that you're telling lies. And if you're saying the truth, to be evident that you're saying the truth. Because even if someone never thought that this could be a leadership experience, but by the way you talk about it, it shows that you actually did this thing, actually made an impact, and it will be seen in the way that you write it. So you need to really think outside the box. Don't wait because you are the president of this or you are the secretary of that. No, in your local community, what did you do? You saw that there was a problem somewhere, and then you came up with a solution, a way to go about it, a way to manage the situation. That is a leadership experience. And sometimes some leadership experience can also double as volunteer experience. Especially volunteering, you did something you are not paid for. The volunteer experience must not be something you did over a long term. It can be something you did 1, 2, 3 days. It can be something you did over 7 day period. It can be something you do once a month. It must not be that I went and I registered with this charitable organization and we are always going to every prison every Saturday visiting the, no, it mustn't be all that. It has to be, and most especially if you have 500 words and you have a range of examples that you want to use, choose the
Yeah,
ones that are most relevant to the development impact.
definitely.
Marriages.
If you're in health and you have an example where you guys went to visit motherless babies, and then you have an example where you went to visit an orphanage, and then you have another example where where there was a blood drive, and then you have another example where you talked about menstrual hygiene, and you don't have to write about all of them. Choose the blood drive, choose the menstrual hygiene because that's closely related to health. Leave the rest. Choose the strongest examples that still show that you have passion for whatever problem you're trying to solve. But if you don't have anything that is related at all, it's also fine. Because the most important thing here is that you show that you have the skills, you acquire the skill of leadership, and you have the drive to do something even when there's no profit in it for you. It's more about the skill you develop as a leader and the fact that you can be selfless rather than the actual thing that you did. So the substance of what you're doing is not really, no one wants to know whether you shared 1,000 menstrual pads or whether you shared only 20. But it's more about the skill you developed while organizing or while sourcing the fund that that where the parts came from. So it's more you should talk about more about how you got benefactors to even fund the sharing of 20 parts than talking about the fact that you shared 1,000 parts, because that shows that you have good negotiation skills, you can pull people together. Just think about it. It's more about you showcasing yourself. So try to talk about the part that you did something. Like Larissa said, the task is about did you do, not about the position you held, but about what did you do.
Yeah. Thank you so
Um,
much, Uchi. Yes, Chisom.
I wanted to say something on a lighter note. Even being an elder brother or sister or having a younger sibling is somewhat a leadership experience. Looking after your neighbor's children, it's somewhat like it depends on how you put it. And even if you feel that you still don't have any experience, you can still go out tomorrow and do something. Like it's not late. It's not late to do something tomorrow, next tomorrow, and say this is what you did. These were the challenges I had, and this was how I overcame. So know how. At least everyone should have something to write about their volunteer and leadership experience. Just try to tell your story. Just imagine that you are telling someone a story. Let it be complete. And also, I saw someone's question about married people, marriage being a barrier. And no, marriage is not a barrier because me too, I'm married. In fact, as I was getting my award email, I was getting my pregnancy test results. So I started this scholarship pregnant. I had to put to bed during my tenure. I got maternity leave, paid maternity leave, and extended my studies. So marriage is not a barrier, like Buchi said, it's an advantage if you really know how to use it well. So one thing about these guys is that we don't discriminate. Nobody, even within UK, they like no matter your status, every
Yeah,
application is considered equal.
yeah,
Very, 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 very equal. Like so, if you have anything that you feel like oh they might not consider because of if they will not consider it for anything, it's because your application is not top
yeah,
notch. That's
yeah.
it, but not because of any personal reason or any personal background. So just prepare your application like every other person and put it in.
Thank you, Chisom. So I'll just go through some questions quickly and highlight them on the screen, and then everyone can just take. Like Frida is asking, when talking about volunteer experience, are you allowed to talk about just one or more experiences? I think we answered this. There are 500 words for you to talk about your volunteer and your leadership experience. You can either use volunteer and highlight your leadership skills, or you can decide to divide them. You can talk about three, five, six volunteering activities, but it's not about mentioning them. It's about explaining. It's about bringing out your leadership skills in those things. It's about saying what you did. So you can choose one or two volunteering activities and lay more emphasis on it by stating. Somebody asked about the STAR approach, so I'll just answer now by stating the situation, the task, the action, and the results that you had at the end of that volunteering activity. So for each one, you need to go through that process. So if you have enough word count, good. If you know how to be concise enough to bring out those facts about your volunteering activities, you can bring out as many as you can. Um, I think somebody mentioned church. I think that's the example I gave. You can use any leadership skill. It is not Lilian just mentioned community meeting things and all of that. Church as well is very much allowed. Um, there's another question, Lilian. I don't know where that question is.
Can
Someone is
I?
actually now
Yeah,
writing down
someone is. Can I talk
information
about the
down.
question?
Yes, please talk about your
Go
question.
ahead.
Someone asked a question. Said, I'm interested in the scholarship, but what discouraged me was the eligibility criteria of getting a supporting statement from a proposed supervisor in the UK and getting admission in Univa in UK. I don't know. So okay, here's the question. Thank you, Cornelius. Actually, if you're seeking to get a PhD scholarship, you should have at least had a supervisor in the UK who will give you the supporting statement. So I don't know if it's peculiar to every university or some universities. My own university, you first of all have to get a supervisor whom has accepted to supervise you before you make your application, because you have to include the supervisor's name in your application. So in that case, if you already have a supervisor whom has accepted to supervise you, when you're making your PhD Commonwealth application, you will have to include the supervisor's name. The supervisor will as well provide you with a supporting statement. So don't be discouraged. The school you want to apply to, have you gone through the website to see what your research area is, and is there anybody there, a PI supervisor, whom your research interest aligns with? If yes, begin communication, email communication, correspondence with that supervisor, and see if the person will agree to supervise you. When you must have done this in the various universities you may want to study, establish communication with these supervisors. Once they accept to supervise you, then once that accept to supervise you, then they should be able to provide you with a supporting statement during your application. So I don't think that should be a discouraging factor. Rather, do this homework and then request for supporting statement. Then someone that asked married, I'm also married with kids, so you don't have any limitation to that to make your application. And like Larissa said, or was it Larissa? Yes, that said, sorry, Chisom said, as an elder brother, as an elder sister, as a mother too, is also a leadership ability. The skill you have to take care of a family is quite is enough leadership ability for you to put in your application if you want. But then being married is not any problem in making the Commonwealth application.
Thank you very much, Lillian. So the next question is on the screen. I
So,
don't.
Larissa, can I add to that?
Yes,
Um,
please.
So for the person, I know that sometimes it can be challenging getting, even when you write emails to supervisors, you don't get any response. Please don't be discouraged. You can write to as many people as you can, but just make sure okay, these guys have a lot of people sending them emails and they don't get to even read or check them. So one of the things that can boost your chances of getting any response is to structure your email well and make sure that they are in line with what you are doing. You can't just send a random email. You can Google and research on how to code email supervisors. I'm certain that if you decide to mail like 20 a day, maybe finally 100 or 200, you can still get someone. And then another way to find potential supervisors is that get research articles that are in your area of interest, and then go through the authors list. You can see it's any university in the first of all, you don't have more chances to narrow your choice to a particular university. You can start with any university in the UK, any university in the UK. So far they have an affiliation with any university in the UK. Just write to them, and with that, if you approach it through that way, you are sure that the person you are writing is the research interest is close to your own research interest, because one of the reasons professors turn down emails is because person mailing them is from another research area while their focus is another area. But if you get the publication that this is part of maybe your introduction, all the people, like most of the people you cited during your research proposal, some of them should have these guys there, so you can just compile their list and then cold email them. I'm sure you will get response. I didn't get the first person I wrote to rejected my application, my proposal. It was the second person that said, okay, this is an, and then let them know that you are bringing your own funds, because some of them think, oh, they are going to be the one giving you stipend or taking care of you or this. But if you just let them know that all you need is for them to supervise you, and you're going to bring your own funds, and that it will be easier and they will understand. So just learn the act of cold email. You can Google more about it, and it will help you get more response from potential supervisors. And then you can I actually got admission after I've gotten the award, so you can still get your admission letter after you've received your own award. So all you need is someone to provide a supporting statement for you.
Sorry, so also to add to this, sorry I logged off a bit. Also to add to this, it's not advisable to just go to maybe seek just for one person and rely on that person. You may be
No.
turned down, because I know that before I got my supervisor finally, I wrote to so many
So many
professors that
people.
had the same research interest as mine, but I was turned down on several locations. But that
uh,
didn't weigh me down. I kept searching
uh,
to universities and like research interest until I found this my supervisor who accepted to supervise me. And as soon as I found that, everything went smoothly. So your first goal is to keep writing to these PIs definitely you get one. And just like Chisom said, when I even got my supervisor, he was interested in the funding. He wrote me specifically talk about funding, and I said to him that hopefully I'm hoping to get the Commonwealth scholarship. So they are not ready to they may not want to bring you and not be able to take care of you financially. So they will actually talk to you about your funding. So while you're writing to them, try to say that yes, you are actually going to seek your scholarship before coming. That would be a good way to go. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sorry, Raisa, I missed out something important.
Mentors, we are already 19 minutes above time.
Okay, and then if another important thing is that don't try to go for all these key high PIs. Sometimes it's difficult to get them. If you can look for someone that is like maybe equivalent to a lecturer one or lecturer two in a university, someone that doesn't really have so much load on their head, or someone that can quickly read your emails and apply. It's like a whole low hanging fruit. Those guys, they are still looking for students to supervise. They are still looking for students to use and build their own career. But all these top guys, they can answer you, but it will be hard. So just look for people that are not at the, so far they have affiliation with the university, you are good to go. So from my then when you now get there, you can now strategize on how to learn and how to, because those guys usually they still have their own boss. How you can now benefit from the whole academic structure. I think that will help. Aisa, go on, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll just highlight a few questions. I think we have tried to answer most of them, but I'm just going through now and seeing that there are some. So when I put on the screen, anybody can just take the lead. For this person, I
Okay.
think it's Julius.
Larissa,
Yes,
sorry. I think before we continue, I think we also need to mention again that there's a separate session for the PhDs.
sure.
For the
Yeah.
PhD.
Yeah, someone asked on the comments already, and I said it's next week Friday.
Yes, we are going to
Yeah,
share
so
the
it's next week
link.
Friday. So
Yeah.
then you have specific for just the PhD, how to contact the supervisor, how to get the
Yeah.
proposal and all that. So we don't that's why we haven't given much information on that here, but
On the
that session is coming up
PhD.
on Friday. So if you are strictly PhD, also anticipate Friday's session.
Yeah. And
I might
also,
not be after students, but you see other scholars.
Pucci, and also for the Commonwealth, we are going to have a follow-up session for question and answer sessions, hopefully in about a fortnight. That would assume that we'll be giving you time to already have gone through a long way in your application process, so that we're just going to do question and answers purely. So we might not answer everything now, but it doesn't mean we are going to answer in the upcoming sessions. So Julius says that he graduated with a degree this year and haven't received a transcript and certificate yet, but interested in applying. Is that possible? Yes, you don't need your transcript and certificate for the scholarship application, but you do need your transcript and certificate to apply to the universities. To apply to the universities, you need transcripts, you need IELTS if you have. If you don't have, you can write to them like Gucci explained his story. And then you will probably need references also. So for the scholarship application in itself, you don't need your transcript and certificate. So you can apply while waiting for your transcript and certificate. Pascal, how can I get a school that doesn't require international passport before I will submit my application for admission? I did electrical engineering and want to do courses on that relation. I don't know if somebody can take that.
The first thing I'll say is that I don't think that there's any school that will take your application without international passport. So try to get your passport as soon as possible, because they won't want to give you a place and then you're occupying a space where you're never going to come, because the international passport is the only thing that gives them hope that you are going to come. But you don't need international passport to apply for this scholarship. So you can apply for this scholarship now that the scholarship window is open. Admissions to university run all the way till let's say April, May, June next year.
Yeah,
So you have enough time to get your passport document. You can make application to a university without the passport for now, and
definitely.
then do the passport document later. They will usually reach when you make your application to them and the passport is not there. They will usually reach out to you to ask. I will say this is my own personal experience. I applied with an expired passport. My passport expired at some point during the applications, and I was still waiting on the new one. But what did I do? I kept using the expired passport to apply. And then I got conditional offer, and then they asked for the updated document, and I told them that I'm still doing the renewal and I'll update it with the course.
Yeah,
So don't make that stop you from starting, but start. but just know that you will need it at the end. You will need it at the end. Even if
Yeah.
you get the scholarship and you get maybe the admission, if you don't have a passport, you're not going anywhere. So at the end of the day, you still need it.
Thank you so much, Bishi. And I think it's important to mention that this does not only go for the passport. If you don't have your IELTS, you don't have your passport, or there is a document you don't have prior to applying,
Transcript
please
and
apply
certificate.
a transcript certificate. Apply to the university, tell them that you're still waiting for your transcript and certificate. If they are interested in you, they will give you a conditional offer, and the condition will be that you should supply those documents before they can give you an unconditional offer. Like we said, always try to put yourself first. Don't disqualify yourself when you have not even applied. Try to apply first. I mean, you don't really lose anything applying, apart from some schools, from schools that ask for application fee. But the only thing you do is the pain you have to go through the application process. So yeah. Isaac, if you were selected on a reserve student, do you really need to send a modified essay? We answered this already. I had a question on a nominating agent, Canon Collins, and their requirement to be nominated by them. Does anyone know this nominating agent, please?
Which country?
I
I
don't
think
know.
Canon Collins, I think it's one of the NGOs on the CSC list. I don't have any experience with them, but you tried emailing them, but there was no answer. I would say continue emailing them or try to find contact details. If you can
Someone else.
find a phone number, call.
Yeah,
I think much better. If you find a phone number you can call, it's
yeah.
always easier to call them. If multiple attempts to reach them is not working out, there's also a possibility that maybe they are unavailable at the time and you have to look at other agencies. But if email doesn't work, try phone call.
Yeah, I think you should have their details on the Commonwealth website. So if you try the email, you didn't get that, you can try the phone. Um, how do I access university that offer postgraduate diploma in the United Kingdom? I answered this already. Just check on their website. You can go to Google, check universities that offer postgraduate diploma. They'll show you a list of universities. Go to their website and then you can write to them. There's always an email address somewhere. Um, when I
I
go to
think
their
I think also
yes,
sorry,
yes,
Lash, I think also to that comment, uh, I don't think postgraduate diploma is eligible for any of the scholarships. So you also need to
no,
state that.
yeah,
So yeah, so it's just MSc, it's just the masters and the PhD. You're applying for a
yeah.
postgraduate diploma. You wouldn't. But
MS,
if you have a
yes.
HND, if you have a HND, you can get an MSc, you can get a master's admission. So you might also try to look at that. Don't think that you must do a postgraduate diploma. Some universities can give you an MSc admission from your HND. You have a way of equating it to an undergraduate degree on their own end. So you can also look into that.
Okay. It is mentioned in the application process that if you don't hold a two, that's a second class upper or above, you can explain in a personal statement how does one tie situations that could have impacted academic performance into the personal statement without sounding like you're asking for pity. For example, the loss of a loved one or tragedies.
I want to say something. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But when they say you can explain in the personal statement, I don't think they're asking you to explain why you don't have a 2-1. I think it's more about explaining why you're a good candidate for the MSc degree. For
Thank you.
example, maybe you have a 2-2 in a history, but now you're applying for MSc digital marketing because you've been working in a company in the marketing department for the past 6 years. 6 years work experience in digital marketing can be enough qualification to have an MSc in marketing rather than your bachelor's degree in history that you got a 2-2 in. So your explanation would be, why are you now moving into digital marketing? Why do you think your 6 years of work experience, what have you gained in 6 years of work experience? What have you been doing? How does it qualify you? Because it's the same thing when you want to apply for admission. So it's basically that same thing. It's not about why didn't you make a 2-1 or a first class. It's more about why are you still a good candidate, even though you have a 2-2 in your bachelor's degree.
Thank you very much, Buchi. Thank you so much. That was straight to the point and blunt. So, if a person has a master's already but wants to apply for these, our senior is here. She's in the house. Hello, Ejiro.
Hey
Hi.
everyone, let's go on. Thank you.
Welcome. So,
Thank
if
you.
a person has a master's already but wants to apply for this scholarship for a second master's, do you think that it's wise to mention that you already have a master's?
Of course, they will see it in your application that you have your masters, unless you don't put it there, because you have to put your for our own application, you have to put your schools and the years you attended those schools. So it will still show that you want that you've had a master's degree before. And then if your new master's is in another field, I think it's understandable that you are changing. Of course, all these things should be tied to your personal statement and your and your impact. If you are doing another master's in another field, and why you are changing and all those. Or you
Yeah,
guys
why
want
you need a second master's?
Do you mind if I add to that?
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so thank you. That was really amazing. So there are a lot of people that have masters and I think it's second masters. So like she said, you need to justify why you need another masters, and that's fine. So yeah.
Okay. So there's somebody who has been complaining about the problem on the form. She says that she was trying to fill, sorry, I don't know if it's a he or she. Bobo Mino says that they were trying to fill the online application, but whenever they are trying to place their email, it states that it's invalid, while it is an authentic email address. Plus, it gives me a reference number. So they're trying to know how they can go about this.
I think I want to ask whether you are starting as a new user or an existing or a returning user on the application form.
Perfect.
Because if you already have a reference number, it means that your email is already registered on a
it's
profile.
already
That means
registered,
you
you're
already
returning.
have so so you should be coming as a returning user. That means you should be using a password to log in, not creating a new profile. So you don't create a new profile every time you go to the page. You have to continue from where you stopped. So if your email is already there, then just log in as a returning user. But if you're trying to create a new profile and you're getting the invalid email, also look at the email address that you're putting in. Is there a space after you typed your email? Is there a space before the email? Is the at gmail.com, the domain name at the end of your email, is it correct? Check the spelling, check everything. It should work. If you continue having issues, email CSC, email the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission to let them know that you're having problems with their.
Or even if the email doesn't work, just try another email.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. On the area that one has done, on the area of what one has done, what would an electrical engineering person say he has contributed in this country's power problem reduction, please?
Let me try to talk about this because I'm an engineering.
Okay.
Buchi, please, a few 30 seconds. Let's continue. There's so many questions.
Yeah. So basically, you can't have contributed anything in the country's power problem if you're not in the power sector. So you don't talk about that. Go and talk about something else that is related. What have you done in your own small area? Talk about your undergraduate degree. What problem did it solve? Your undergraduate thesis. What did you research on? What problem did you solve? Does it have any practical applications? If you want to strictly talk about engineering, I think that would be the best bet of the route you can go through.
If you don't mind, let me add this. So I don't know. I believe the mentors have touched this before, but let me just for emphasis sake, it might it's unless other questions to So in terms of what you have done, I if somebody say I will change the world, and somebody said I will change the world by cutting down a tree. Now that's more specific. You get, or if someone said that, okay, like for example, now these mentors, for example, when you want to apply for something else, they will say they've helped education. How they organize this webinar and they are speaking about it. So they're not expected to move mountains. You have done something tangible, something that you can say, I've done this, no matter
Sure.
how little it is. So don't take things for granted that you've done. Look at what you've done in the past. Write it down. You'll be amazed what you've done. Okay, there are people that actually volunteer that time to help people cross the main road. Sorry, I need to keep moving. The light is motion sensitive. I'm sorry. Yeah. So there are people that actually help people to cross the main road or help people to run errands or even helping the people with special needs. There are a lot of things that you can do. So everything must not be related to, like what you said, your field exactly. If you
Yeah,
have that, that's amazing. If you don't have, do not sell yourself short. What you have, tell them what you've done.
sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ejiro. Please, you people should talk about policy making and governance for those of us who study political science or public administration. Please, guys, mentors.
I think I touched on this at some point when I gave the
Yeah.
moving a bill
Okay,
example. This was the
okay,
comment that prompted me to that.
okay. Um, oh no,
And
this is an answer.
so, also to add to that, the person in political science, like I said earlier, you can ask yourself your some questions like, what do you really want? Because all these things are stem from what you want, what you desire. Like if you can identify a problem that you want to solve, even in your area, I think that will help to answer so many questions that you have. So you need to really reflect on what you want. If you want to continue in the area of politics and policy making and all, you have to ask yourself, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to see? What do you want to? How do you want Nigeria to be like? What changes do you want to see? So with that, you can create steps on how you want to achieve those things. They don't need to be so big in your own little way. By the time you answer those questions internally, it will help you to put down to write down all these essay, how it will reflect who you are and who you want to be.
Thank you so much, Shisa. Can a person who has interest in language or a person who studied a course like Igbo language have an opportunity for this scholarship?
Should I help?
Yes, please.
So, Commonwealth scholarship has two types. They have the general, which is the one ongoing, and you have the shared. Now, the shared, they give you courses, and you have to pick what they give you. But the beauty about the general is you pick a course, and as long as it has to do with development. Now, the answer to your question is yes. There are people that did PhD in language. I met some people doing masters in language interpretation. Everything is possible. Just link it to development. For example, maybe you can talk about how you want to help translate a book to more students in Igbo language or whatever. There are a lot of things you can do. Or people translate Bible, people translate history, whatever. It's part of development. So you need to think wide and think deep. No, nothing is impossible. Just think. You'll be amazed what you can do. So I'm
Amen.
preaching now.
I felt that. Thank you so much. Okay, please, there is a place where they ask for references, but they have one space yet they need to read. How do I go about that? This, you should have accessed the form to be able to actually understand what she's talking about. But I don't know if anyone encountered this when
I
they were
think
applying
I think
for sponsor.
someone responded to this in the chat. It's the
Oh,
reference
okay.
letter she wants to upload. So combine the three letters into one document and upload that single document.
Oh, okay. Um, so I think we've answered most of these. I'm trying to go really down now.
Is it okay if I add to that reference?
Yes,
Please do not
please.
submit a general reference. Submit a reference is like a CV, it sells you. So most times your referee might not know what you have accomplished to date. You need to inform them. Do not just say he's a good boy or he's a good girl, she's this, she's that. And so everybody's a good boy, good girl. What have you done? They need information. So please inform your referee what you have done so you can stand out because everybody's a good girl and a good boy. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that point. It's important also,
I'm sorry.
if possible, try to see the reference letter that is being written for you. Try
Yeah.
to see it, try to read it. First of all, if you are contacting someone for a reference, you always need to attach your CV so that the person can see what you've done and know how to structure whatever they want to write for you. And then after they've written it, make sure you see it. Please see it. Make sure it corresponds to all the impact essays that you've written, like in a way to your long-term goals and all. Make sure that they are all telling one story, because once the story changes, that means there is a gap somewhere. So if possible, request to see what is being written for you, make corrections and then send back.
Thank you. For a PhD application on the proposal section, how do you provide references? Are the references the ones you have used in writing the research proposal? If they are many, do you choose few?
Okay, for this question, remember that you have limited words to write your proposal.
Yeah.
So since you simplified it, definitely some of the references will have to go. Not all of them will be there. So just choose key. My references, I didn't have more than um 10. I think they're about 7 or they have to count. They are adding up to the word count. Remember, so once you simplify your proposal, just pick the key ones that try to choose references that cover multiple stores. If you have so many, try to choose maybe like a review article that have covered so many things. So narrow down your proposal into few words and then pick the key references. You don't need all the references there. References is just to show that at least you did your own research. But at the end of the day, it's not references that they will look at. It's your what you propose to do. So try to cut it down as much as possible.
Thank
Can
you.
I,
So
can I add
next,
to that?
oh, please too. Sorry.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you. So, when in the detailed plan of study as well, you have to write your is kind of in sections: the
Section.
introduction, the methodology, the I think 3 sections or so or thereabout. But each section,
Timeline.
whatever. Sorry.
I said the timeline too.
Yeah. So each of the section, you can put in your references. I think the person also asked, how do you put in the references? I think it's also good when you put in your reference, provide the link to the reference, so to make it easier for the person reading.
Yeah,
The person want to see the reference,
exactly.
person just click on the link and it moves in person to the paper you're referencing. So don't put plenty, but for
Don't
each
put the whole
section,
name.
please provide reference for the introduction, the methodology, the what's it called, discussion, all the sections of the proposal. Please provide reference and put the link of the reference if that have answered the question of how do you provide the reference. If you write the name of the author, please provide the link to the paper you're referring to. Thank you.
Okay, let me add to this. And now the beauty of this application is that it's very dynamic and very unique. So both speakers shared different perspective. Now let me share what I did. So I think something is so kind. She gave about 7. I think I only gave 2 references or 3 references. So I didn't do it because I was really jealous about my word count. I want to use my word count to express
Very
myself. So,
well.
and again, I did not cite references the way you cite it academically. I didn't write Peter and John, 2024, blah, blah, blah. No, I just wrote the name of the book and the year. You get, because they just want to, like I said, they want to know that yes, you have sources of what you want to do. So they are not, you must not write the references exactly how they cite it, because it's your word count. So I just wrote the name of the book and the year, and I was done, 2 or 3, and I did what I wanted to write.
Exactly.
So it's good to really use your words well. So you can use any of the speakers' method or even your own method. Just it's all about. I think this is unique. It's dynamic. It's not
Yeah.
one shoot size fits all. Sorry.
Yeah. All you should be targeting is the word count. So long
Word.
as you don't exceed your word count, just like Ejiro said, it's unique and dynamic. If you put just the name, the author, and the link, and your word count is fine, then you're good to go.
Thank you, mentors. Can someone make recommendations on the universities of choice for an engineering student? If we don't know, we just tell them to go on Google.
Yeah, I think
We
that's
don't
Uh,
the
have
thing.
time.
recommendation of the
Just
University of Just
Google.
for
Yeah,
Engineering students. Okay.
almost all the universities in the
I think the truth about this is that there's no recommendation that's better than Google and
Thank
yourself.
you. Thank you so much. If I choose a course different from what I am doing, can I later change it to what I actually want to do?
within the
Why would you
Commonwealth
choose a
period.
course? Do you mean choosing a different course on the application and then later change the course when you
When you get to the
get
university.
admission? I don't know if that's what
I
person
don't
is
know
asking.
if that's what the person is trying to
I don't know.
say. That's not possible.
That's not.
Your first 3 choices.
Even without scholarship, is not possible.
So I'm wondering why the
Because
person
when
wants
you
to
get your
change
student
after
visa, it's
choosing.
linked to your university and your course.
And your
Yeah.
course.
Thank you. I think we've answered this one. Please give me a moment. You can.
I don't know if this have been mentioned, but I want to quickly add for the nominating agency because I was contacted by someone today with special needs. Again, the person has disability. So just to know, okay, I need to keep moving. I'm sorry, the light is really motion sensitive. Okay. Now this is me again. So sorry. So apart from the nominating agencies, which I believe the mentors have mentioned, for persons living with disability, you can also apply to disability nominating agency. So just to add that, and Yeah. So I just want to put that out there if it hasn't been said yet.
Yeah, I think Buchi answered that in
Oh,
the comment
perfect.
section.
Thank
So
you.
that's
It's been
why I didn't
answered.
highlight the question again. How
All
can
right.
one become a Fawe member? They requested for payment of membership some time ago. I did. I haven't heard from them.
Can I say something here?
Yes, please.
Maybe I will have to answer the question with a question. Why do you want to become a family member? Is it to get nominated? If it's yes, then I don't think it's necessary to. I don't think it's a hard and fast rule to be a member for you to be nominated.
You don't
Yeah,
need to.
I
So
was nominated. I was
because
not a member.
Fawe
Me
nominated me,
too.
and I'm not a member.
Oh,
Even
hi, sister.
I'm I'm not a sorry. Fawe nominated me until date. I'm not a Fawe member. So
Yeah, you
I'm
don't
three
need
of
to be a
us.
member.
Hi,
yeah.
sisters.
Hello.
But if you want to follow up on her payment and membership, you can just
Ah,
send an email to
You
them.
can
No,
email
you have
them.
to
Yeah.
email them. You have to
Yeah.
email them to follow up on your payment.
Okay.
If you apply and you're taken in a university and you don't get the scholarship, is it possible to? Yes, you can ask for a deferral.
Yeah. If your
Um,
university does that.
Please, is there a particular referencing style for the ACEs?
I think we just answered it now.
Okay.
Okay, this one is for SS. SS don't have references. I don't.
If it's for AC, there's no reference. Are you sure the
There's
person
no.
is not referring to the proposal detailed plan of the study? Maybe
It was just talking of SS. If it's for
AC
the
doesn't have
if it's for
references.
the proposal that's been mentioned. If it's for the SS, no.
Doesn't have reference.
I think maybe maximum put a link of an NGO that you're volunteering with or something like that. That you want them to see.
Okay, so I think we've answered most of the questions. I don't know if we have one final word, 30 seconds each, to tell them before we close. I've gone through all the questions and I think I've highlighted the
Okay,
ones.
this one. If one has two bachelor's degree and currently final year. Okay, the person is asking if they can still apply for a master's degree without a transcript. Well, I think it's two-way. If you're applying without your second master's transcript, make sure that your CV covers what you've been doing since you finished the first master's since you fin since you finished your bachelor's and then you are now applying. If you don't want to mention that you're already a master's student somewhere, so make sure you fill in that gap, because that gap they always try to scrutinize to know what you have been doing when since you finished your bachelor's and then you are not, maybe you are working on something like that. So try to fill in that space if you don't want to state that you've already started your master's somewhere else. And then if you have but with a tutor, that might well, that might, I don't know for masters, but for PhD you're allowed to apply with a tutor, but you must have a master's degree. So if you desire to go to have a PhD, you can actually leverage on your tutor and your master's degree and apply for a PhD instead of applying for a master's with a tutor. It depends on your essays and your background and how competitive your application is. So you can consider both ways and try to make the best decision.
For the PhD, thank you, Chisom. For the PhD application, is it necessary to have up to 10 publications?
If I'm to answer, sorry. I
I'm
just tried
laughing.
to think about my application, and I had up to
Me
10
too.
publications. I had up to 10 publications in my application, but then if
Ah,
I can remember the
Ejiro is
application,
laughing.
sorry.
Ejiro is laughing. She's
I,
wondering
I do
how
have
you
one.
have 10 publications.
Yeah,
I do have one. So
that's
Wow.
why I'm saying I don't know. I can't remember if we
That's
actually asked to
cool.
put in 10. I'm not very certain again if we're asked to provide 10. But if we're not asked to provide 10, the number you have you put. If the question didn't say you must have up to 10. If it says your
Application.
publications, then you put what you have. But
Also,
I
I
don't know why I put 10. If I can remember we were asked to put 10, I can't remember honestly.
I had a
I'm
good
scared of
number
you,
of
Lillian.
publications too, so I can't really tell if 10 is
I'm scared of both
compulsory.
of you. I didn't have one.
No,
Ah,
Ejiro, no, it all depends from your background, where you're
your
coming from.
background and other
I'm
factors
a
too.
lecturer and we research and we publish, so I must have
I'm a
publications.
lecturer too. Now. Sure, I was a graduate assistant. I'm a student. I was just starting life. So,
You might have had a first class degree, so that can
not like
also
that.
impact.
Okay.
That can
No,
also
it's not
impact the success of your application.
Okay.
It may not really be the fact. I also have a first class degree, but the point is Ejiro said she was a GA, right? Before
Yeah,
she began
yeah.
her program, right? I have grown beyond being a GA. So at the point I've attained, I was a lecturer one. So I've had publications. So there's no way I can have publication up until lecturer
Senior
one.
scholar.
So
Senior
so I'm
scholar.
not
Okay,
even
guys,
I'm not even a
please,
senior lecturer,
Coming
please.
from the
thank you
So
so
godmother.
much. Thank you so much,
yeah,
mentors. Is stuttering a disability? We are ending the live. We are
yeah.
49
I,
minutes above the estimated time.
I think the definition of a disability somewhere
On the
there's
The
there's
website.
there's a
website,
place you can
yeah.
find it online. So I think just go and check. Basically,
But just
Okay.
go
know
and
that
check.
it
No
doesn't
one,
affect
no
your
one.
process.
So it's,
Okay, so thank you so much. I'm going to give 30 seconds to each speaker to just round up last minute advice. We are emphasizing on the fact that we have upcoming webinars for question and answer sessions solely. We are going to have one for the masters in about the fortnight, that's 2 weeks from now. Hopefully, if everything works out well. And then we have the PhD webinar coming up next week, Friday. Subscribe, like the channel, and then stay tuned for upcoming webinars. And for those who are going to listen to us after this live mail, that's sometime in the future, yeah, drop your questions. We are also going to answer. Drop your comments. We are still going to answer even in the future. So
Let me
I'll
start.
start.
Let me
Okay,
start.
yeah.
So first of all, I want to say thank you to all our speakers. So please, our audience, be nice by dropping a thank you message to our speakers or drop them like an emoji, a love, a clap. They've been like here for almost, oh my God, I need to keep walking. Sorry. They've been here for almost, I think, more than almost 3 hours. So just drop a chat to say thank you or something. And my own takeaway would be this: from some of the questions I saw, it's obvious that some persons have not gone through the form.
Yes.
It's very obvious because there are
Yeah.
some questions that should not be asked, but it's fine. It's okay that you ask it, so it's clear that you haven't gone through the form. What I would say is that for future webinars, if you really want to benefit and ask exact question, go through the form and write down what you don't understand so you can ask and benefit from it. And tomorrow there's also a Chevney webinar happening, so you can
Yes.
also explore your options. You can apply for Commonwealth and apply for Chevney. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ejiro. Lilian.
Oh, okay.
Senior scholar for life. 10 publications, my God. I am sweating.
No, don't go that angle because
It's okay.
sometimes you have to do what you have to do, okay? These are
Okay.
publications
Definitely.
from back many years ago, not like the
Which she
recent
learned,
set.
10
Yeah.
publication, which she learned from godmother.
Ejiro,
Okay,
you're just
Lilian,
flattering
please,
me.
a
You're making me feel
word to
shy,
the
please.
applicants.
You're flattering me. I want to thank my fellow speakers and thank you for having me as well. Then to our audience, just like Ejiro have said, I wanted to also mention that if you go through the form, it will help you to be more specific in your questions, and it's even better you had gone through the form because you would have seen your challenges and your problems, and coming to the session, you'll be able to say all of that. And generally, I wish you all good luck as you make your application. And then when you're making your application, please be patient and take your time to do that. And please don't miss a deadline. Success, good luck ahead.
Thank you so much, Lilian. We love you too, Linda.
We love her.
Chisom. Chisom.
Okay, 30 seconds. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, speakers, the hosts, the organizers. It's been hearing from people and answering so many questions. I wish I had answers to this question when I did my own application.
As in,
Well,
I was
that's by
wishing
the side.
to.
So
Yeah.
my takeaway is that don't put all your eggs in one basket. Commonwealth is not the only scholarship. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, there are so many scholarships out there. All you need to do is just to sit down, search,
And
search,
search.
and search. Especially now. Now is the peak period. Especially if you are doing your PhD, there are so many scholarships out there. I mean, multiple scholars, so I can explain to you guys better. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Do this one diligently, submit, and then keep searching. There are so
Yeah.
many scholarships out there. You just need to search. Most times, people will just recommend or help me search, help me apply. No, that doesn't work. Your first step to know that you are serious about getting your scholarship is doing your own research. So I wish you guys all the best. And if you get a scholarship, please do come back and share your testimony. We'll be so happy to see that our efforts have paid off. Sure.
Amen.
Larissa, forgive me. I just have a question for something. She said, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." What if you don't have egg? Maybe you have pineapple or orange.
Well, if you have apple or orange, still put them in the egg basket. It still works.
Sorry,
So far, you have put something inside there, they will have to take whatever you have. So
that was
just
a
scatter.
joke. That was a
I know
joke. Sorry.
that it was on a lighter note, but my dear, just do whatever you can that can fetch you anything legally.
Thank you. So I wanted to leave Buchi last because he's the people's people. So yes,
Oh,
Buchi, let
Okay,
me
so
see.
sorry, before Buchi talks, since he's going to wrap it up for us, I want to
Yeah.
say that there's something somebody wrote on the comment section. Sorry, I'm taking us back there again. The person said that this time around you have to become a member. I think the person is
Oh
referring to
yes, for
Fawe.
the Fawe. Yeah, yeah. I
The
saw
person may
that.
be
I
referring to Fawe. I'm not
thank
sure if it's
you.
Fawe. The person just said you have to
Yes,
become a member. He didn't
yes. It's the same
mention.
person who asked about Fawe. She's the same
Oh,
person.
maybe they
Yeah.
have
I
changed
think
their criteria this time around and we're not
maybe,
aware of that. Yeah,
maybe.
maybe.
But just
Okay.
follow up, call
Yeah,
them.
just
If
follow the website and see
try
what's
to follow,
yeah.
try to follow up. Be
Okay.
very
Yes, Buchi.
Okay. Thank you for. I say thank you for keeping me last. I don't know how. About it.
oh my God.
But I say I'll thank everyone. I'll thank Ejiro for giving us the platform. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can be getting more updates. More things
Promotion,
are coming.
promotion, yay.
I need to say that.
Yes.
I need to say that.
good.
Then I think at some point I wanted to say congratulations to Chisom who got the scholarship nomination and pregnancy test on the same day. That's double congratulations. My congratulations is late.
No,
It's late,
see,
but we still accept it.
there is a downside to it. I almost lost my scholarship
Wait, I don't
because I had
understand.
to.
What happened? I missed
Uh,
that.
but
You
you
got
did
what?
not. But you did not. So it's celebration.
Yeah,
No
Which
problem.
one did she get?
yeah.
Sorry, what did she
It's
get?
double celebration,
What did
Chisom.
she get? I'm missing that. What did she get? Sorry. What did you get?
Oh, I don't.
She
All
got
right, Chisom,
she
let
got
her know. Tell us.
Huh?
Wait, I got my pregnancy test result and award almost at the same time. So
Sister,
what
I'm
happened is that
jealous.
you had to do a TB test.
Jiro.
And if you are pregnant, you can't do X-ray. Okay, you can do X-ray, but I didn't want to do X-ray.
Yeah.
Then, if you want to do sputum test, that would take like at least how many weeks? Maybe like 2 months or thereabout. It takes such a long time, and they give you deadline. So I was almost missing the deadline to get my TB result and now apply for my visa. But
Oh.
thank God everything worked out perfectly at the end for me. So people have to have that in mind. That's if you've gotten the scholarship. Know that there are still other processes. If you are pregnant, you cannot do a X-ray test. So you have to have you need more time and make sure you don't miss your deadline, or else they were almost canceling my own
Anyway,
award.
congratulations, Sha. That's my own concern. Congratulations.
Thank
thank you.
you.
I'm not
Let
going. We're
everybody
not going
support
above
me.
3 hours.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Sorry,
Buchi.
sorry, sorry.
Seven,
Sorry
No,
about
we
breaking
will
the
get
record.
3 hours. So I
Please
think
just
yeah. So I
stop.
thank everybody. I also thank Lillian. Lillian, it was nice the first time I met you. I know we haven't talked since then in Manchester
Oh,
when we
don't
came to
worry. We
play.
have to talk now. Let's go and chat in the private chat somewhere.
Uh, uh,
Thank you,
and
Buchi.
Larissa, well done anchoring the session. I think you've done
It's
a very
amazing.
amazing job.
It's amazing, yeah.
It was my
Very
pleasure
amazing
to
job.
have all
So
of
I think
you.
my advice to applicants would be I wanted to say what Chisom said. Don't throw eggs in one basket. She has already said it. So I will now say be conscious of deadlines.
Yeah.
Be very, very conscious of the deadlines. It might surprise you. You think you know that I know someone that missed scholarship application because the person thought
Oh,
submission was on 19th, when submission was on 17th. And then the person came to submit on 18th and found out that portal has closed. So please,
Portal will be
please,
closed.
the minor details. Plan to submit 5 days before the closure, 3 days before the closure. Don't wait to a day before or on the day of the closure. On that day, portal will just disappoint you.
Look at that
Please,
shit.
Some people have deadline
don't
syndrome. Some people like to wait to the
mhm.
deadline. Please don't do that.
Please,
Don't
if
do
you are
it.
that kind of person, stop it. Let it stop with the application because when you get to UK and you're studying, you also fall a victim of deadline syndrome, and it will
Yeah.
not be a good experience.
Experience
So
speaking.
please
Yeah.
Experience
try
speaking.
to
Experience is speaking. I know what I'm
try
telling you. Deadline syndrome is very bad. Don't wait to the deadline, especially for the perfectionists that want to do everything correctly. If you're a perfectionist,
to
deadline syndrome will always hit you, but try to avoid the
sorry,
place.
Bushi, sorry to
Try
cut
to
in.
avoid.
Follow up
If,
on your
Larissa, you know
yeah.
what?
MSc.
Go pack me hours.
Follow
Oh.
up
Then
on your
for people
MSc.
that may want to, people that just, I want to also make sure. So if you want to, maybe you want to reach, I think maybe we'll drop contact details later. But me personally, just search my name on LinkedIn and just send me a chat. That's the easiest way I'll say that you want to reach me. You have a question you want, or you have something you want us to discuss personally or one-on-one. You do that. So I think I'll stop there.
So thank you. I want to start by thanking our audience, to all of you who watched us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and those who are going to watch us later on. Thank you for watching us. Thank you to the mentors. Thank you to Chisom, Lillian, to Ejiro for joining us finally, and to Buchi. And if I want to say something, I'm going to say that I realize many people have not done their research, first of all, on what it takes to be or to even apply for the scholarship. And many people seem to already want to disqualify themselves without even doing the research, without doing the work. If this is what you really want, please go for it. There is, like Buchi said, what is the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? And then also, please do not be discouraged. Many of us did not get, I for one, I didn't get on my first application. So if you apply this year and it doesn't work out, don't be discouraged, but don't submit the same essays. Review them, improve yourself, and submit next year. And what I would also like to say is, if you believe in God, after you have submitted, please pray. If it is His will, it's going to come to pass. Thank you, everyone. And I think on this note, we should be ending the stream. Good night, and see you tomorrow for the Chevening wedding. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Take care of yourself. Success ahead.
Yeah, we moved from 120 at the start to 42 at the end. That's not bad. Bye.
Bye bye.